This is Red Hot Reds Live. Here are your hosts, Ricky Logan and Roger Strauss.
Welcome to the Red Hot Reds podcast. It is Sunday at 8 p.m. and we are live. That is Ricky. I'm Roger. This is the Red Hot Reds podcast. We're coming to you live every Sunday to recap the week. And also today we have a couple guests. Ricky, how's your week been so far?
It's been good. I have myself muted there. It's been good. Nice weather today for sure. Need to get the yard cut. Man, my yard floods. If it rains once, I can't mow it for a week. What about you?
It has been good. I was at the pool party today, so I definitely need W Energy. Shout out W Energy to keep me going today. And also our guest today was outside doing some yard work, a guy that does it all for Chatterbox Sports, hosts. He does all the stuff behind the scenes. And he is also considered Mr. Hamilton, growing up on the West Side, playing West Side Little League for Hamilton. And he is Mr. Reed Mouse. Welcome
What's
to the
up?
show. Hey.
What's up? I don't know if I've ever been called Mr. Hamilton before, but I appreciate that. You know, I got a lot of love for Hamilton. I defend it tooth and nail. I appreciate you guys having me on. We actually were scheduled to do this a couple weeks ago, and I stood you guys up. And I wish I could say that was a ploy for jabbing some Reds fans, but I genuinely felt terrible about it. So I'm happy to be on here. But yeah, it was a busy day. I cut 4 yards. I have a bunch of ivy on the top of my garage. It's good that no one watching the show right now can smell me, because it's not pretty in my wife's makeup room right now.
Yeah, that's great. Welcome to the show, Reed. We're glad to have you. Yeah, we did tease you out last time and didn't show up. We weren't,
My bad.
we weren't trying to trick the audience or anything, but we're glad that you're here. Unfortunately, we can smell that Cubs hat, and we definitely know that this is not a Cubs show, but we are welcoming this platform to you because we'd like to get to know you. We really appreciate all your work that you do for Chatterbox and everything like that. We also know that I guess you're the most trusted voice in Cincinnati.
That's right.
So
that's right. People forget that. Everyone thinks of me as some Reds troll or just the Cubs guy for Chatterbox, but what they don't realize is that I am the most trusted voice when it comes to the Cincinnati Reds. You know, it was Marty Brennaman for 4 decades, and then there's kind of been a void over the last 4 or 5 years since he retired, and I've slipped right into that role as the most. When I talk about the Reds, people listen, and that's just what I know.
Yeah, they certainly do, right? In one way or another. But yeah, I guess. To start off this interview, Reed, just want to kind of take it off nice and easy. Obviously, we mentioned you're a Cubs fan, so I guess we just try to figure out, how does it feel to have a good baseball team that you follow?
It's weird, because this is what last year was supposed to feel like, and 2 years ago started to feel like before everything fell off in September. So you just a figure that you're just waiting for the other shoe to drop. And maybe that's just being a Cincinnati sports fan also outside of the Cubs, and you just are always waiting for something bad to happen. It almost feels too good to be true what's going on right now. They have the best record in the National League. They have 1 game out from having the best record in baseball, while also playing one of the hardest records, or playing one of the hardest schedules throughout April. Now, May was really easy. You know, we play the Marlins and the White Sox a bunch of times. In the Rockies, you're going to get some wins. But in short, I guess it just feels like at some point something's going to go wrong, but I'm ready for it. The offense is just firing on all cylinders. Although even this last week, they only, other than this game today, they only scored more than 3 runs once. And they still walked out 5-1, when the pitching has always been kind of the bugaboo of the team. I don't know. It's a lot of fun, and you don't want to look too far ahead. You don't want to look too far ahead and be like, man, what's the expectations I want on this team? Do we got to win a playoff series? You're just here for the ride. It's a lot of fun right now.
Yeah, for sure. Maybe some of the Reds rubbed off on you guys, having that inconsistent offense and whatnot happened to you guys. That sometimes happens. But is that the expectation, to win a playoff series, to go deep in the playoffs?
I think right now, like it kind of feels like a new relationship, right? You're just trying not to put labels on anything. Like you're just having fun. You're just like trying to enjoy it for what it's worth, and you're just not trying to be like, are we a boyfriend girlfriend? Like, are we World Series contenders right now? Like, what are we doing here? So I at some point there will be that. Like obviously with the way they're playing, you kind of you hope for that, but you don't want to ruin a fun summer by having um expectations like, all right, we're good now, let's just forget about the summer, let's not have a fun summer, let's just focus on October. And then you draw the Dodgers or something like that in the first round in the NLDS, and you're like, all right, well, so be it. Like you just don't want to put any expectations like that, but there will be times probably in August where you start thinking like that. But for right now, you're just having fun.
No, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, Sir Boy's having a good time with you in the chat right now.
Yeah.
Shout out Sir Boy because he gave me a joke. He just kept saying that I'm from Mason to a point where people actually think I'm from Mason.
Yeah.
And the best part is whenever I would ask him, like, why do you keep saying I'm from Mason? Why do you keep saying I'm from Mason? He would just go, ha. And I was like, explain the joke. I don't get the joke.
I was gonna say, isn't it reference to Jason Williams, and Jason Williams from Mason and a Cubs fan and writes for the sports column? I think I don't know. That's just me because I think a lot of people have a lot of hate for Jason Williams of the Inquirer. I'm not sure if that's just kind of you're getting a little bit of that tailwind.
My guess is there's a lot of implants that move to Mason, like people from outside of Cincinnati move to Mason.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously the Cubs are a pretty popular team, so that's just where a lot of Cubs fans end up being because a lot of people move from outside of the city into there. That's what my guess is.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
All right, take us back to a young Readeroo. What was your first baseball memory, or what would you say your favorite baseball memory?
When it comes to like the Cubs, or just period?
Anything in general?
Baseball.
Okay. So my first memory when it comes to the Cubs, I'll start here because I have the worst fan origin story ever. I just started liking baseball, and I played on the Coach Pitch Cubs at Westside Little League here in Hamilton. Our jerseys were green and gold, so it didn't even make sense, but that's just who I rooted for. And I started liking Sammy Sosa because I asked my dad, I was like, who's the Cubs' best player? They're like, Sammy Sosa. And I was like, all right, Sammy Sosa is my favorite baseball player ever. But my first memory, I mean, this is a good way to start, was the 2003 NLCS, the same one, the Steve Bartman, Moises Alou, all of that. My first memory is Kerry Wood hits a home run at the plate in that series. And like, I just remember watching this game and like sprinting around the house, so excited. It was like, as far as I was concerned, the first baseball game I'd ever watched, at least in my memory. And Kerry Wood hits a home run. And I remember getting a warm-up jacket. You remember the warm-up jackets that pitchers used to wear? I'd wear it around at my grade school, and I'd put it on just my right arm. Like I'd like go, it'd be 10 degrees outside. I just have a coat on my right arm because that's what Kerry Wood did. My favorite baseball memory ever. My dad coached me my entire life, and he meant so much to me, but he didn't get to coach me in high school or college. But I guess my senior year of college, I went to a school that wasn't very good. We were never very good. In fact, I think they had like 5 winning seasons in the history of Bluffton University, which is where I went. My senior year, we were supposed to be terrible once again, and we actually made it to the conference tournament for the first time in school history, and we hit a walk-off home run to get there, like a grand slam, to get to that moment. That was pretty cool. Now, don't ask me how I played in the conference tournament. I played all right. I hit pretty well, but I had like 2 errors, which lost us the game. So try to forget those. But yeah, those are all good memories. Don't ask me about the Baden State tournament run that I had an error to lose the game either. That one's not a good memory.
Yeah, take
us to the Baden State tournament run.
That was the next question. How'd you know?
How'd you know?
But yeah.
But you play catcher, right? Like, how is that? Like, is it like what they say, kind of like being the quarterback of the team? You see everything, control everything. I don't know if you guys at your stage calling pitches and whatnot, or if that's the manager as well. Like, how does that go?
So yeah, when you're the catcher, I got to call pitches, and that was probably one thing that I always took pride in. Like I feel like I was really good at. I wasn't a like you hear some stories about catchers like you're gonna throw what I tell you to throw.
Yeah.
I wasn't that guy. But I would like if I would make a suggestion and he'd shake me off, and then the dude rope a double, I'd come in the dugout and be like, "You should probably listen to me. Like I'm pretty good
Mhm.
at this." But there's a reason that all the great managers in baseball used to be a lot of them, not all of them,
Yeah.
but a lot of them were catchers. Even Terry Francona. You're looking at Terry Francona, who's a Hall of Fame manager. He used to be a catcher. Mike Scioscia for the Angels used to be a catcher. Joe Girardi used to be a catcher.
David
And
Ross.
yeah, David Ross. Yeah, you just keep going down the line, and Joe Torre. Joe Torre was a catcher.
Mhm.
And the reason that we make such good decision makers in baseball because we are the only ones that really are making constant decisions. When you're a catcher, you got to every single play, you're giving pitch call. Ball goes in the gap. They're all facing the ball. You're the only one that gets to see the entire field. So you're like, all right, you're going to the left. We're taking it 3, and you're letting everyone know where every single play is. And you almost at times feel like a choreographer because you'll see like the pitcher's not backing somebody up, so you get in the pitcher's ass like, hey, you got to go back up third base right now. I don't know if I'm allowed to say it on this show, but I just did. Ass, get behind third base, go back them up. So yeah, you see the whole field. And it gives you a good understanding for just kind of how the game, like it feels like cogs in a watch a lot of times, like how it kind of articulates. Now, also with being a catcher, we had to do so much at practice. We had to do so much in a game that, like, you ask us, like, what's wrong with my swing? I don't know. Like, I didn't get to work on my swing as much as other people. You ask me, what am I doing on field and ground balls? I don't know. I had to take my hand around. Like I was so focused on what's going on in the game that I couldn't. At times there's lapses, and also catchers we don't like catching bullpens. So don't ask if you ever get to go back in time and play baseball again, don't ask us to be like, hey, let me throw a bullpen to you. We'll say no. We don't like that.
Fair enough. Yeah. That's good stuff, man. And were you one of those catchers that got out of his stance and backed up first base, and ran down the first base line all the time, or was that is that like an extra, or that you have to? That's a must, or otherwise you getting reamed out by the coach.
Right, like unless you're batting like 450, that's a necessity.
Mike
Now
Piazza.
there are some times where like they hit a rocket, like a one hopper, right to the shortstop, and then like you like take 2 like hard steps out of the halo, out of the catcher's box, and you're like, what am I going to sprint down here before the play's already done? But yeah, you got to back it up. I'd always get there was a catcher ahead of me at Baden that he was a heck of a player, but he would like jog after pass balls and wild pitches, and I mean he batted like 560, so he could get away with it. But I just like it always, as a guy who couldn't hit, I had to work extra hard at the defensive stuff.
Well, that's fair. I feel like that's the hardest thing. After catching a bunch of pitches, you got to get up out of your stance and then sprint down first base line just to make sure that no one overthrows the bag. I don't know. That's a lot of credit to catchers, and I'm sure your knees are probably not necessarily as young as they used to be.
Yeah, it's I'm Catholic, so we go to mass and we do a bunch of kneeling. And I actually like take a joke with my wife. But like I rate the kneelers. Like today, where we went 0 out of 10 on the kneelers, but we've been smelled out. I'm like, those are good ones. Like we should come back here. This is a good church. It's got good kneelers. So
yeah,
they're not the best.
Yeah,
Are you a knee crack guy where you bend down, your knees crack?
My knees, a lot of bones in my body crack every time. Like I mean, you can't hear this. I can make this crack every single time it cracks, and yeah, my knees crack a lot.
Oh boy! All right,
they probably hear you like, all right, and you're like, yeah.
Well, it's if you go, I work out at Planet Fitness, which are supposed to be like quiet and respectful, and like they have the lunk alarms if you're dropping weight and stuff like that. And sometimes I'll like go in a squat and my knees will crack, and I'm like, I'm not like grunting, I swear, that's just my body. like it's not me. Don't set off the lunk alarm. It's just my knees. I'm just older than my body's a little older than I am.
That's fair. Well, we have dubbed you Mr. Hamilton, and or actually, no, wait, sorry. Did I skip one? Sorry. Take us back to 2016. Okay. We have obviously the curse being broken. you being, of age to fully experience the Cubs winning. What was that like for you as a Cubs fan?
So it's unique because if you ask me what my favorite year as a Cubs fan is, it's not 2016. Obviously, that's the greatest moment, but 2015, the year prior, was more fun from an overall scale, like the entire season, because we were projected like 81 wins and we ended up winning 97, and then we beat the Pirates and the Cardinals in the playoffs. So that was more fun. But as for the winning the World Series, breaking the curse, I was in college. I was a junior at the time. Obviously, it's fall. I go to a D3 school. We do a lot of fundraising. And one of the fundraisers we had to work at Cedar Point. And like we were the guys at the front of line, like making sure you were tall enough to ride the Millennium Force. That was the ride I was working, was the Millennium Force. And I think it was for games 2 and 3. I was working. I couldn't even watch the game.
Oh, man.
And because we weren't allowed checking our phone. We weren't allowed doing anything or we get in trouble. I was asking every single person, like every 2 minutes I'd walk through the line, like, hey, you got an update on the Cubs game? Hey, you got an update on the Cubs-Indians game? Hey, you got an update on the Cubs-Indians game? And so that was interesting. For Game 7, I was watching it in a room entirely with Indians fans because I went to school in Northern Ohio.
Yeah.
And I'm, we're drinking and stuff like that, and I'm getting pretty I'm getting a little jabber jolly. I'm talking some crud when we're up by 2 runs in the 8th inning, and we got Aroldis Chapman in. I'm kind of like, here it is. Then Rajai Davis hit that home run, which is the most traumatic experience in my life, I think. And it was fight or flight at that moment for me because I'd been talking junk for about 2 innings, and he hits that home run. I was ready to like start fighting people. I was ready to start swinging. Like they were all coming back at me, and I was just heartbroken to a point where I just left. I was on campus. I left back to my dorm, and I watched it in my room, in the confines of my room, and that was pretty cool. It was a really, really neat experience. The one thing that I wish that I did, looking back at it, is I wish I would have went to the parade. But I didn't go to the parade. I also didn't have the money to go to games back then. Being a college kid, and those tickets were like $1,000. I still don't have that money, but
yeah,
I like to think that if the Cubs get back in the postseason, then I'll make my way to Wrigley.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah, to do that. For sure.
Yeah, maybe they won't have another 100 and however long year stretch.
108 years without winning a championship. What's even more impressive about that is they went from 1908. So what's the Reds' current streak of not advancing in the postseason? 30?
1995
to this year. So 29. If this year will be the 30th.
Right.
You're right.
The Cubs went from 1908 to 2003 without advancing in the postseason.
2003.
95 years without winning a playoff series. Now, granted, a great majority of that was a different playoff areas. Until the
playoffs.
until 1968, 2 teams won the playoffs. You won the National League, American League, then you played in the series. But still impressive. 95 years without winning. It's yeah. I don't know if we'll ever see 108 years again. Hopefully the Brewers do, because I think they're at 60. 40,
we can only hope for that, right?
Yeah.
You've been dubbed Mr. Hamilton. I think we can all agree. Mr. Hamiltucky, as they say.
Oh, Ricky, come on.
Not
Ricky,
you.
Come on.
Hey, I'm in
all of us.
I'm in Indiana. We're the worst of all 3. So
it is funny that the insulting thing is it's Kentucky. That's the insult.
Right. Kentucky's not even that bad.
Right.
But what's your favorite part about Hamilton and just growing up there?
So growing up in Hamilton, the coolest part is how much people always, we say it with our chest that we're from Hamilton. We don't other people will be I'm from wherever. We're proud. I'm from Hamilton, and it's almost like a dare because we know the negative connotation that comes with Hamilton. We're say something about it. I dare you. Come on. And it's really interesting because I fully understand why Hamilton gets the reputation it does. Like I defend Hamilton tooth and nail, then you see something on the streets and you're like, ah, God, that's kind of tough. Like I understand where it came from, but also I would say that that reputation doesn't indicate what the city is now. 20 years ago, you go downtown Hamilton, all the streets are boarded up. There's homeless people, lying around, and the city just wasn't in a good spot. You go now, there's people walking up and down the streets. They're going to restaurants. They're going to bars. They're just spending time with their family. There's people that ride their bikes on the Great Miami Waterway, and they like come to Hamilton to make a day out of it as an entire day. It's a really, really cool town, and you can sense how cool it is by how much pride people from Hamilton, like, we want to tell you about how well we're doing. Like, we want to be like, dude, this town is thriving right now. Have you been to the new restaurant? Have you been to the new brewery? Have you been to the new bar? Have you seen Spooky Nook? Like, all these things. It's really cool to be from Hamilton, and it's a really easy thing to be proud of.
Yeah, Roger and I are both, like, I guess, transplants to the area. Like, Roger's from Chicago.
Roger, you're from Chicago?
Yeah. I'm a reformed White Sox fan, so I've been shedding that imagery because I don't know how my dad does it. He literally watched every single game last year, and I think I'm also Catholic as well, or ex-Catholic, and I think maybe there's some sort of penance going on with my dad or something, because that was the craziest thing. I was checking in with him to make sure he was okay, kind of thing. After a while, after they lost all those games,
Well, I mean, at least he's got the Pope. At least your dad's got the Pope.
They got a mural. They got a mural at I don't even want to say it, like Old Comiskey or New Comiskey. That's what I usually call it, because Wright Field just sounds. Anyway,
I think I still call it U.S. Cellular.
Yeah,
is U.S. Cellular. Yeah.
The cell. I forgot about that one. Yeah, but yeah, it's usually New Comiskey because back when I was like a little kid, we transitioned from the old stadium in 1990 to the new one, and it was just right next to it, like literally just in the parking lot next to it. So there's not much, transition to do at that point. Not like they blew up the stadium like they did, with Synergy downtown Cincinnati. But yeah.
You should get back to the White Sox. I think they're having more fun. I think they've had more fun in your life.
Yeah, 2005 was a good year. Talk about in college. I was in college when the White Sox won.
You're aging yourself. You're aging yourself right now.
So 2005 was a great year. I mean, you're talking about I think it was the ALDS. They had 4 complete games to sweep. I want to say the Indians or the Angels. 4 complete games from like John Garland, Jose Contreras, El Duque. Like, you're not going to see that anywhere, just to get 4 straight guys to go 9 innings to win, to get the sweep the series. Like, it's obviously, it's a great thing to have, but it's, I don't know.
That was my. So did you ever see that clip of Pope Leo? Pope Leo
at the game.
At the game. My favorite part about that clip was the pitcher-catcher matchup, or the pitcher-batter. It was Bobby Jenks versus Adam Everett, and I was like, man, this is awesome. Like that, I eat that up when I just see that.
That's 2005, baby. That's 2005 right there in a snapshot. For sure. But yeah, good. Prayers out to Bobby Jenks. He's actually battling cancer at the moment, so hopefully he's gonna be on the mend. Forget what kind. But anyway, he's under some procedures and whatnot. But yeah, shout out to the legend Bobby Jenks. I think he did like 2 seasons with the White Sox after that World Series win. So he's what's that, Ricky?
It's Dr. Evil. I'm just showing that because you guys have seen your team win a World Series in your life, and I haven't. But
sorry, bud.
Yeah. But a transplant, like, he's from Chicago. I'm from Northern California. I'm up from a town called Yuba City. It's just north of Sacramento. So okay. I grew up in the area, just not like Cincinnati. Like, I grew up, like, I live on the west side of the west side. I live on the county over in Indiana. So like my town, we have like 700 people. So it's like we're a tiny little town. If I said my town, they'd be like, what? Where? Who? Like, the only thing cool we have here is we have like a homecoming fair every year in May. So there's like Ferris wheel and stuff. But I live like so close to it, it's kind of annoying. because like there's concerts going on all the time. But yeah, it must be cool to be like really proud of like the town that you like were like born and raised and like grew
Right.
up in. You know, just
Yeah, it really like I don't know. I guess I would probably defend Hamilton if even if this wasn't going on. Like to be completely honest, like it didn't matter. Like I'd probably defend Hamilton regardless. But it makes it easier when the town is like when people. The coolest thing people say is, and I hear people in the news say this, like if you listen to 700, 1530, whatever, like people be like, have you been to Hamilton recently? This isn't like the old Hamilton. And then you go there and like you hear people like, dude, it's awesome. Yeah, it is. It's really, really fun. It's really
kind of
cool.
like OTR.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, when I was a kid, don't go to Over the Rhine.
Yeah.
Don't go to Over the Rhine. And that was some people who are like, hey, don't go to Hamilton. And you're like, come back to Hamilton. This is a cool place. So,
I had actually never been to Hamilton, so that's one
Come
of
on
those things.
down.
We'll make a date out of it, reader. We'll make a date
That's
out
right.
of it.
Right. Beers on
Go
me.
get some ice cream.
That's right.
Yeah, that sounds good. Yep. And you know, we also know that you've been working at Chatterbox for a good while now. Like, how's that been going? How'd you get started working for the company?
So I was a senior in college, and I was studying in the library one day, and a good friend of mine, his older brother, was asking for my phone number. This was Trace, and I get a call from Trace while I'm studying. I was like, okay, whatever, and I answer this phone call, and I knew who Trace Fowler was, like, because he was obviously a bit older than me. Played baseball at Hamilton High. I went to Beta, but like I just remember his stepdad was a baseball coach. My dad was a baseball coach. He actually Trace used to ump my games when I was playing youth baseball. Like I was catching, he was behind the dish. But he calls me and he goes, "I've got this really cool idea. I want to start a local media company for Southwest Ohio. Are you in?" And at this point, I was a senior in high school or college. I was like, I just want to graduate. Like I really hadn't even. I've never been the think ahead guy. I was just kind of flying by the seat of my pants, and normally it works out. For this instance, it did. And I was like, sure, I'm in. And he's like, give me a year. I was like, okay, well, are you in? Like a year.
It's a long time.
Sounded like I was getting a job offer, but so go home, cut grass for a summer. I get a job at Van Wert Times Bulletin. If you guys know where Van Wert, Ohio is, it's up near. It's on the Indiana line, up about a little farther. Like if you're good at geography, it's north of Columbus, Lima, near Lima, that kind of area. It's a small little area. And I was their sports editor at their newspaper, which writing was something I was new to, but I was like, sure, I want to do this. And I did it. Fun story about that. I used to get credentials down to the Reds games, and I did the Reds game in 2019 opening day and Derek Dietrich's game, if you guys remember that one.
Yep.
And I was following, I don't know why Jay Morrison was working this game. Like he was a Bengals guy, but I knew Jay Morrison. He's from Hamilton too. So I'm following Jay Morrison around this game. And because I was so scared. I was like, I'm not going to ask anybody questions. I don't know what I'm doing. I got these credentials. I'm 22 years old. Like, what am I doing? What am I doing? And we get down we go to the locker room, and he goes up and asks Eugenio Suarez some questions. And Eugenio Suarez is answering questions and a towel, nothing else. Just got out of the shower. He's rocking a towel, and he's got 4 Budweiser cans in his hands. He's got 4 Budweiser cans in his hands answering questions. I'm like, this dude's awesome. Back to my career. So I do a year at Van Wert, and then I get a call from Trace again. He's like, "All right, I told you about a year. Let's do this. Well, like, what's it take you to bring you back home?" And I was like, "Don't tell him this now." We like had negotiations, and I was like, I would have come back for nothing. Like I was done where I was working. Like I would have done it, and I came back. And Chatterbox has been really cool because we just kind of did it. Like we had a kind of plan, but we didn't. Like we were like, we're gonna do local media, high school sports, and we're gonna do everything. We're doing podcasts, we were doing broadcasts, we were writing stories, we were taking pictures, we were doing everything. And most of it fell flat on its face. Like we were writing all these stories all the time, putting out content left and right. No one was reading these articles. We are doing these radio broadcasts of games. Some people were watching it. We were doing podcasts. No one's listening to these podcasts. And what we kind of got lucky because we started doing like we did radio broadcasts. We started doing video broadcasts and we got really good at it. And at this point, no one was doing that in high school sports. And what happens on top of this? So we're doing these video broadcasts. All of a sudden, the world shuts down and no one can go to games. And we're like, all right, we're getting good at this. We're just going to do this all the way. So we start broadcasting all these games all the time. Like I'm talking, we're doing like 3 girls soccer games on Tuesday nights during COVID, just because no one could go to games. And that kind of got us our footing. And we did that for a few years. We did the college game day model where we brought Tony Pike and Tom Brenneman on. We're going games, doing that stuff. That was really fun. And then we decided to go into content, start doing red stuff, obviously Chatterbox Reds and Off the Bench with Tom. And then it just kind of all folded from there. But it's been just kind of a jetpack of the ride, which, you guys were talking to me before the show. And you're like, hey, how's life going? And I was like, you know what? Finally, for like the first time, it kind of feels like I know where Chatterbox is and where it's kind of going. I mean, we'll see what happens in a month. That tends to happen. But it's been like really at times hard to describe to people what my job is. It's been really hard to describe, like, what are you guys doing next? Like, I don't know. Normally what happens is we're just sitting around and then I get an idea or Trace comes in and says, hey, let's do this. And we're like, all right, we're doing this now. So like, that's basically like where the next thing in Chatterbox is we have this golf outing. Or this golf tournament that we're going to give away $100,000. That was just Trace on a whim. Just like, this sounds like a lot of fun. Let's do this. So it's a lot of fun because you just never know what's going to happen next, but it's been a long, long time. And I really enjoy working at Chatterbox.
Yeah. What would you say is like your proudest day, proudest moment? Like, maybe an accomplishment or just something that comes to mind when you think back on its fond memory?
Personally, like, in terms of Chatterbox, I think the coolest thing that we've done is when we did our first cable broadcast. We did that in November. We did the Athletes in Action Total Athlete Tip-Off. We did 3 college basketball games up at Athletes in Action in Xenia, and they were on Gray Media, like they were on cable television. That was the first time we'd ever done that. That's really cool. I kind of oversee we got a partnership with Miami University. I oversee all that. I got to call a game. If you look at on Chatterbox Sports right now, on our YouTube, what the most viewed live stream we've ever had is, it's a broadcast for Miami softball where they played the number 1 team in the country, Oklahoma. I remember talking to Casey that day. I was really excited. I love broadcasting games. Don't get to do it a whole lot anymore, which is okay. But I still love doing that. And I remember Casey was our producer that day, and we knew it was kind of be a big deal. We knew the number 1 team in the country was coming in. And I asked him, we've been buffering around 200, 150 people watching all of our YouTube streams because we put them on YouTube back then. And I asked him, I was like, hey, how many people do you think are going to tune in? He's like, we'll probably get like 600 concurrent viewers and like 8,000 views. Like that was us like pie in the sky. We had 20,000 concurrent viewers watching those broadcasts, and it was awesome. It felt really, it was really, really cool. So that's actually the coolest moment is when I got to broadcast Miami versus Oklahoma up in Oxford. That was really cool.
That's actually how I found you guys, because I had it was my wife's niece, far removed, something like that. She played at Northern Illinois University and played against Miami University in Oxford, and they streamed their games and saw their series. And that, I think they played Oklahoma a couple weekends later or whatnot. I was like, oh, all right, just Chatterbox. Like they get, that's cool. Like, it's local broadcast. Like you don't see that kind of stuff. Like obviously if you got like ESPN Plus, you can find, the MAC conference and whatnot, or whatever sports like that. But like to do it for Cincinnati, a company for Cincinnati is, I don't know. It was something that really struck me as unique and cool. And I'm glad that you guys are there still doing that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, no, yeah, we still do Miami. We backed off some high school recently just because the one thing that COVID did, like it gave us an opportunity to kind of grow as a company, and we're thankful for that. And one thing that it undoubtedly did, which is a good thing, was like people always ask me, why aren't you in high school anymore? It's because all these schools broadcast themselves now, which
Yeah.
is what they should have been doing 15 years ago. The YouTube was created in what, 2007, 2006?
2005, yeah.
You could have been broadcasting your own games in 2010, but you just didn't because no one had done it before, and it was kind of a new thing. And all of a sudden, COVID happens, and you have to do it that way. And now all these schools do it, which is a really cool thing. But like people ask us, like, why don't you do high school sports anymore? And that's the reason why, is because they do it themselves. They do a great job, and we're like, all right, well, we've moved on, and we hope we get to do some more college. Like there's some other local colleges. Wright State, NKU. Hopefully, we get the opportunity to broadcast those in the future. But yeah, it's really cool. It's a lot of fun.
Awesome.
Yeah, I guess kind of staying on the Chatterbox topic. What's it like working with Trace and Sean? And is Sean more hands off and Trace more hands on? And I guess kind of a 2-part question. One of my favorite memories from you guys was when Trace had that like 27-hour stream. And you guys had to do the off the bench the next day, and you guys had Lindsay host the show, and she kept messing up the intro. And you're like, just run it back. And then she'd do it. You're like, no, it's wrong. Do it again. And then, I don't know, that was fun. And then like the chat power rankings and all that stuff, like that was cool. I guess 2-parter. What's how are Trace and Sean? Because with the pregame show, I don't deal with Trace much at all. Nick's the one kind of more hands on with that, and then. I guess, the 2-parter with the
so before I answer the Trace and Sean thing, that show is an example of why there can't be a show that's just me and Elliot and Jacob, because it would just be off the rails all the time. Like I think it's a good change up when I come in and host for Kenner. Kenner does a fantastic job. I think it's a good change up. But if I did that, if I hosted every day or it was just us on the show all the time, we would never talk about sports because we just goof off the entire time, which we have good chemistry do that. We're all funny guys. We all have a good time. Yeah. But like you can't do it all the time. You need some substance there. You need some meat. You can't just have cake and brownies and cookies all the time. But so what's it like working with Trace and Sean? So I nicknamed Sean early on. He's always been the quieter guy. He really doesn't like to be on air. He has a few times. In fact, when we used to do the Chatterbox Game Day thing, he would come on the show and talk about high school sports, which was fun. But I always call Sean the compass. And the reason I call Sean the compass also has to do with Trace. Because like I said, Trace comes in, he's like, we're going to do this now. And we're like, okay. And every once in a while, Sean, because they're the partners. I'm the boss. Excuse me. Sorry.
Yeah. Bless you.
They're the bosses. I go with what they do. I sometimes put in my input, but Trace will come in and be like, we're going to do this now. And we're like, okay. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Every once in a while, Trace comes in there and he's like, we're going to do this. And Sean goes, no, we're not. We're not going to do that. We're not going to do that anymore. And then like we'll have some big event, and then Sean, who's very money oriented, will be like, we're not doing this. We can't do it this way. So the best way of putting it is Sean is make sure that the bills get paid and make sure that we're doing all the things that we need to do as a company. And then Trace gets to come in and like spitball major ideas. And then he's like, this is going to be great. And then every once in a while we got to step in and just go, okay, we're not going to do that. But working with both of them has been fun. It's not been without its bumps, as any other, as any, relationship, as any job. I haven't always been the best employee. They haven't always been the best employers, but it's we found a way to make it work, and they're not only just my bosses, they're good friends. So it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, I visualize Trace as like the erratic father and Sean like the responsible mother.
Yeah, that's family. That's actually a really good way to put it in there, because like sometimes Trace will come in here with like these huge ideas, and we wouldn't be where we were without these huge ideas. So right. Like I'm not putting them down, But like as he's like explaining to me and Sean are looking at each other, just like, what is he talking about? And we go, we're not doing that. And then, well, you can't if you tell Trace that we're not going to do that, then he just does it out of spite because he's very competitive. So sometimes you gotta artfully like talk about like, I don't think that makes a whole lot of sense. But yeah, that's a good way of putting it. They're the mom and dads of Chatterbox.
Yeah, I just see him being like, "We're going to do a golf tournament, $500,000," and Sean's like, "No, Trace, we're going to do 100,000."
Yeah, it's sometimes I wish that we just you know how Big Brother does the like after hour show where the cameras are on. I wish that we just did that at Chatterbox, like we just had the cameras on all the time and just let it rip.
Maybe kind of like The Office, but just not The Office.
Them two arguing. I mean, obviously, you see if you watch Chatterbox Reds, you know how bombastic Trace is. Them two, because they're childhood friends, arguing is hilarious. And then I sit on the corner and I just prod them both. Like I like just take my fire spoker and just like, Trace, can you believe that Sean said this? And then I'll like play devil's advocate on the other side. That's always a lot of fun.
Well, on that subject of you being kind of a prodder, poker, what have you, how much do you enjoy riling up local Cincinnati Reds fans at this point? This year, in the past, all the time? Like how is it go forever?
I have so much fun. And part of the reason I have so much fun is because I think anyone that knows me in any context at all, like I'm not like if as long as it wasn't the first tweet you've ever seen from me, knows that I'm goofing off. Like I don't think anybody ever takes me seriously other than the first time that they see a tweet from me or see a rant from me. So it is so much fun, but I'm also good at getting under skin. Like they know I'm goofing around, but like even Elliot will tell you, Jago will tell you, like, God, it sucks how much that bothers me. What you just said, like I'm good at just like finding the things that make you a little insecure as a fan and just poking, just having a little fun. My family hates it. My family actually like, which I don't tweet as much as I used to. And part of it's because my family gets on me. Like my dad's always like, "Oh, here comes Mr. Twitter." And I'm just like, all right, I gotta peel back. It was you guys don't even know this. I used to do this with like with high schoolers too, which it was. I knew them, like all these kids I know because I'd interview them and stuff like that. I wouldn't just be bullying high school kids, but like I wasn't just like some bully, but like a Baden and Ross have a rivalry, and I would just go back and forth in between them, like, man, Ross looks really good, and then these kids would get riled up. Like I said, I knew all the kids, so it's all in good fun. But yeah, I have a genuine blast. And the thing is about the Reds, when I somewhere deep down, hopefully this doesn't get clipped up. Somewhere deep down, I think I like have some affinity for the Reds, and the fact that like all my family, all my friends, like everyone I care about loves the Reds. So the Reds being good is good for my life, even though I wish they're not good. Like it's a weird thing. It's a weird juxtaposition where like I want the Cubs to be better, obviously, but like I want my friends and family to be happy. So it's a really weird thing, but it is like genuine. When guys don't get that I'm messing with them on Twitter, that's my favorite. Or they get mad, and then I just ask why they're getting mad.
Yeah, because we've had your fair share of insults on Twitter, and whether it's TikTok, X, whatever. When you're just when you were more active, like with you on clips. Do you have a favorite insult that you've been called? Because mine was Mr. Laptop, and I ran with that. I ran with that for like a month. Just that was the most epic. Just what is this Mr. Laptop guy thinking he can talk? They just give anybody a microphone around here.
It's Mr. Laptop is such a good chirp. There's something about like the subtleness of chirps, like not being too mean, just like a genuine like it's Mr. Laptop isn't negative at all, but it's also just kind of like what?
It's an insult because he's talking about you.
Right. It's just funny. Someone once called me to Skip Bayless of Butler County Sports. I think that still might be my Twitter header.
It is. I just checked it.
Yeah. That was, yeah. Someone called me the Skip Bayless of Butler County sports. That was back during the high school thing. Um, oh, one time someone I think called me a proud boy, which
I
like
remember that one.
yeah, they called me like a Nazi, which I mean, fair. I look like one. Like I've got blonde hair,
You
blue
fit the
eyes.
mold. No.
Yeah. Well,
Right. Like I mean, like if you look up what a Proud Boy looks like, I like it kind of looks like me. Like this is where you're getting at it. But
I mean, you're very obviously German.
right, that last name's Mouse, and I got blonde hair, blue eyes, and yeah, that's I get it, I guess. But if you know me and you know my politics, no one knows my politics is the best kept secret. But if you know me and know my politics, you know that's the farthest thing from the truth. So yeah, that was a good one. I don't know. I liked it when Chatterbox would just say fire Reed all the time.
oh,
Like I would just
Yeah.
get on off the bench. Like my face would just show up, and the entire chat would just be like fire Reed, fire Reed, fire Reed, fire Reed.
Isn't that
That was
still a membership option on YouTube? Like
for
it's like the
500
most expensive. It's like $500 a month, but it's
for
like you
five.
get a lunch with Trace or something.
Yeah, I don't know. When we put those together, that was a 1 day thing. We're just like, oh, we'll try this and see what happens. Yeah, well, for $500, I get fired from my job. That doesn't seem fair. But yeah, that was good. Back when I've 180. I think I've 180. I used to be the most hated chatterboxed personality, but I think people are starting to warm up to me. But I think part of that. Oh no, my AirPods are dying.
you good? Uh-oh. Oh, muted. I think you're muted. You unmute him? Oh, man.
There we go.
There. I was gonna say I can't remember if they changed it to Fire Kinner now. It's not. If anything, I was gonna contend that I think part of your Q rating rising has been possibly coinciding with the hiring of Justin Kinner, noted Browns fan, and possibly kind of taking away that Fire Reed, now transitioning over to Fire Kinner now every single day. Everyone's saying.
I don't get the Kenner stuff. I don't get why everyone, because I think Kenner's great. I think Kenner, like if you knew Kenner, he's a great dude. I know he has some bad takes sometimes, and I know there's one thing, maybe above all else, like our fan base is very Reds oriented, but there's one thing that gets under our skin. If you say something bad about Joe Burrow, we will kill you as a community. And maybe that's just all of Cincinnati. And everyone's like, why are you guys obsessed with Joe? I was like, I don't know. He's just like only had more wins than our franchise had previously. And I know Kenner's taken some shots at Joe, so maybe that's what it is. But Kenner's awesome. And it's I know it's just kind of ran into a bit now. Like I don't even know if people still mean it, but yeah, I feel bad for Kenner sometimes. But I've also been there, and he'll 180. We always do. We always win you guys over.
You're kind of like his emotional support buddy. You can help him through it.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, for sure. I think it might also be that radio broadcastery kind of thing. I'm not sure if it's bit, if it's shtick, whatever you can be, but I think he's kind of got like that, veteran radio broadcaster type of cadence that might get under people's skin in terms of how he sets up topics. Or, I mean, he's a Reds fan, right? But it doesn't sound like it all the time, type of thing. So that maybe kind of contributes to that as well. But that's just Kenner for you, I guess.
Yeah, it is one thing that I studied broadcast journalism is I never got the cadence. Like I never got how to talk. I also stutter quite a bit, so maybe that's what it is. But I never, like before I met Tom, I thought he did a voice. That's how he talks. Like, he talks like this. Like you get him right here, right here, all the time. And Kenner's the same way. He talks in a very particular cadence, and I never got that. But I also, other than working at the newspaper, I've never been like in structured radio. I've never been in structured on the news or anything like that, to where they kind of force you to do that and they teach you to do that. So I've never had to do that. And I just kind of can talk the way I like to talk, which is very fast, a lot of stuttering and goofing off.
I say goofing off. It's what you're doing right now, and the Chatterbox right now. Is that how you see yourself in 5 years? Is that something that you want to go down that broadcast journalism route, or whatnot? Like, what do you see for your future? If you
So like I brought up earlier, I really enjoy broadcast, and I don't get to do it as much as I used to. And I think that maybe above all the content stuff that we do, I think I broadcast better than like I host. I think I broadcast better. Like I think I'm okay at it. Definitely could use some more work, but I'm hoping that in getting more, like we got our first cable broadcast last year. I didn't broadcast any of those games. We hired people that had been on air before, been on TV before. I'm hoping that in the future I get the chance to do those, which once you're on TV once, other networks are more likely to do that. And I've really never even like made connections to getting bigger gigs or anything like that, other than, like in baseball, like I know college coaches in the area, but they don't get to make those decisions and stuff like that. So I would like to have more opportunities for broadcasting. But we do a lot of events, and that's where I do a lot of the stuff for Chatterbox, and I enjoy the franticness of it. Like I enjoy solving problems on the go. It feels very much like a game at times, like playing baseball once again. So I enjoy those, like the traveling that we have to do sometimes for these events, which you guys probably don't even know about these events. Like we go out and we have to do, like this weekend I was down in Danville, Kentucky, live streaming a Great American Brass Band Festival. Like I did that was my weekend. That's the stuff that you guys don't even see, and that's the stuff that makes up a bulk of my work. And I enjoy that, and that's good for business. Like it's been really successful for Chatterbox. So in kind of I like where we're going. I'm all on board with Chatterbox, and I see how successful it is. I'm cool with that being my role going forward. Is like I'm good at running these broadcasts. I'm good at running these events. I'll do this, but I still like to do the stuff that I like to do, which is talk to Bengals, which is broadcast games. So in 5 years, maybe I'll have wedged out a daily hour Bengal show, where I can just talk the Bengals during the season and not really worry about it out of the season, and focusing on just whatever sports we're still broadcasting and doing all the events and stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, we were thinking about what we were going to do in the off season with baseball. It's like maybe we'll just transition into the Bengals or something. I do want to say this though, just because you're here, and I don't want to make it like I'm pumping you up, but it's true. When you would share your broadcast that you were doing on X, like you did I think it was a Hamilton basketball game a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Like generally, I wouldn't sit and just watch a high school that I don't have like a vested interest in, but I did, and I really enjoyed hearing you call a game. You do a really good job, and I just wanted to say that.
Thank you. Yeah, it's some people, thank you for saying that. I like doing stuff for Baden and Hamilton. I did like a full West Side Little League broadcast like last year. I was broadcasting Little League games, and that's a lot of fun because I know the people, like I know the families and everything like that. And when they would come up to me and be like, "Hey, thank you for broadcasting this game," that was really cool. So I appreciate you saying that. I might start doing that again here, like maybe this week. There's some games that I was looking at that I was maybe I could broadcast some games and put them on my Twitter so people can watch Baden and Ross baseball. But we'll see about that. But thank you, Ricky. I appreciate you saying that.
Yeah, and if you ever need any voices for Bengals stuff, well, we can help out too. We're cool with that. I'm not like super knowledgeable in like the Bengals talk, because I'm not like a diehard Bengals fan, just because I'm not like, transplanted. You're smug and pompous Brock Purdy. That's my team. I just grew up with my dad. My dad was born and raised in Paradise, California, and then moved up to Yuba City by Sacramento. But he's just been a 49ers fan since like the 70s. And
it's a fun life.
Just growing up, you see 49er jackets here, jerseys hanging up, and footballs and beer cans with all like the Super Bowls and stuff. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. But then I was also like a big Joe Burrow fan. Like
Mhm.
just watching him a little bit at Ohio State, and then like my niece is a real like big LSU fan, so I was like, oh, this Joe Burrow guy's pretty good. And then it just turns out he goes #1 to the Bengals. I'm like, I gotta follow this guy, and at least they're right down the road, so that was kind of cool. But
Yep.
I do have one question that went on the old X account. We
Okay.
didn't get a lot, but I guess anti-Cubs people. But Steve Wolf Sr.
Uh-oh. I lost you guys for a second. I can't hear you, Ricky. And this isn't
You got
me
me?
ducking the question.
Yeah,
Oh!
Oh man.
All right, I guess we have to check my AirPods here in a second. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if you connected to something else.
Can you hear us now? You got us?
See what my AirPods got. I don't know what's going on here, guys.
I don't know.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah,
we got
you're
you.
If it's the question that Steve Wolf, is that give me a
Yes.
nod? Yes.
Yes.
So Steve's related to me, and I'm gonna have to get off after this question because I can't hear you guys anymore.
It's all good.
But Steve asked, who is the best athlete in my family? I have 2 older brothers and my dad, and then my sister. We'll throw my sister in there. And I've fielded this question before. My dad played college basketball and baseball at a small school. My brother played baseball at a D1, and then he went down to D2, played in the College World Series. My other brother played golf and baseball in college. My sister was a cheerleader. She didn't really do anything else other than that in sports. And then I played baseball. I'm the biggest out of everyone in my family. Like my brothers, and I like to tell them this a lot. Like I'm the youngest, but I'm taller than them. I'm bigger than them. That was about it. They are all far more athletic than I am. Like far more athletic than I am. It's not even close. I may have gotten the most out of my athleticism though. I think pretty much everyone you see at Chatterbox is maybe more athletic. Elliot might be more athletic than me. Trace is more athletic than me. I work hard.
Mm.
I do it well. I try my hardest, but not very athletic. I wasn't given that. I'm pigeon-toed. Don't have good hand-eye coordination. Can't shoot a basketball. Can't play golf that well. But yeah, one thing that no one can take away from me though is I was a dang good archer in grade school. I played at the Arnold Schwarzenegger games. I was an archer, and that was fun. So I liked. I make the joke that I do all these weird sports like run and do archery and all these things just so I can win straw man arguments against my family that I'm the best athlete, which I'm not. So
All right. Yeah.
I can't hear you guys. I don't know what happened to the sound.
You're good. You're good. That was the last question. I don't know. Do you know any sign
Well, I'll
language?
wrap this up from my end. I don't know if I can leave off. I don't know if you guys have anything else, but thank you for having me on. I'm sorry for the end of this. For some reason, anytime I broadcast from my house, something goes wrong at the end. Appreciate you guys for always being in on Chatterbox Sports. Appreciate you guys for having me on. Sorry for standing you up. I didn't mean any ill will against it, but I did wait until the Cubs won 2 series against the Reds, so I have to dip out from there. But hey, maybe next year is the Reds year. Maybe next year.
Yeah, always
See you
next
guys.
year.
See ya.
Thanks, Reed. Thank you so much for joining us. Oh man, what an interesting ending.
Well. Thanks, Reed.
Yeah, it was a technical difficulties all around. It started off, I think, your microphone, now his microphone. But anyway, but yeah, thanks for joining us. Noted most trusted voice on Cincinnati Reds baseball in Cincinnati. So did well with that. We are going to transition now, going to recap the week since it is Sunday at now 9 p.m. We're going to recap the week, but we're going to also have a guest, I believe, if he's ready, Rick. I don't know if I want to preempt you too soon. But
we're ready to go,
Yeah, so we also, I forgot to run through the spiel. We also wanted to thank Doug and Jordan for letting us this platform, Ohio Sports Talk, to give you Reds content all throughout the 2025 season. We are, here on YouTube, Ohio Sports Talk. Please subscribe. Subscribe on X, the Red Hot Reds Pod, Instagram, Facebook. I believe we're streaming on all those, Ricky, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
And it's a podcast, so you can get us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, wherever you get podcasts. And also Dubby. Thanks to Dubby. Shout out Dubby. It's getting me through this interview. And I'm not even joking, Ricky. Like I was struggling. I took a nap before this because I was I overdid it. But with Dubby, the only sugar-free focused energy drink out there, go get Dubby at w.gg and use the promo code RedHot10 to get 10% off. Really appreciate that. Help them, help us, that kind of thing. And we now have our second guest of the night. We're just going to be doubling it up because why not? We're just
send it.
We're just doing it. Thing. We have from the 643 and Out podcast, the Sports Truth. We got Mr. Mike Ballantyne.
Gentlemen, how you doing?
Doing good, and we appreciate you sharing your link to your followers on Twitter as well, so they can join our show too. So any questions they have, feel free to post them in the comments. We'll try to get to them as well.
All right, sounds good. I was trying to make sure I got all the Ellie picture in the background there. I'm looking at my stuff there, moving everything around.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for joining us, Mike. We're gonna just basically set up a recap. We have our topics that we want to run through. The first of most is that we had 2 series this week. We went 3-3. Won a series, lost a series. Unfortunately, the Cubs series, the rubber match is just a death knell for the Cincinnati Redlegs for some reason. They just 3-23 or something like that on the rubber match Sundays or rubber match getaway days. Just brutal. But anyway, the point that we're trying to say here is that what were your takeaways, Mike, from the 3-3 week against the Royals and against the stinky Cubs?
Well, first of all, that was a great interview, except for the end with your guy just before us here, man. I really enjoyed that. I was sitting here listening to everything while I was waiting off air, and that was really good by you, gentlemen. I appreciate that. And of course, for those of you who are with us and you're not subscribed to Chatterbox Sports, make sure that you do that. You've got him on there and you got Ricky on there as well. So they have a fantastic platform and they use it well. Now, actually answering the question here, I said it last week when I guessed a little bit at the end of this show. Mm-hmm. They seem to play up to their potential and down to their potential. And they pretty much did it again this week. They went to Kansas City. We all knew that was going to be a rough one.
45 minutes
and they got 2 of 3, and they really should have won 3 of 3 in that series. And then they come home and they battle and battle and battle with the Cubs, but just can't seem to get it done. And as you said with with that record you gave us earlier, man, the Cubs have their number, and unfortunately the Pirates have their number. And real unfortunate is that both of those teams are in their division. So it's. I guess I would sum it up in these 4 words: more of the same.
No, that's fair. That's fair. Rick, what did you think from this week against the Royals and against the Cubs?
Yeah, I'm gonna say the same thing. It's just it's disappointing. Just getting shut out. Yeah, yesterday, and then did we even score a run today? I didn't even pay attention. Oh yeah, Elliott's home run.
Mm-hmm.
Pitching has been really good. Martinez struggled today, but just inconsistency. You have. I talked about it the other day with the post-game show on Chatterbox that we, up until yesterday's game, we'd scored 49 runs in 7 games, and then you get shut out, and then you score 2, and it's brutal. The bullpen's been taxed, and they've been well overused. We have Hunter Green coming back from injury, and he, could only go 4 innings in his first start, 5 innings in his second start. And then, this is just a master class from Andrew Abbott. And it's just wasted, it's just wasted.
Yeah, this week was kind of weird. The bullpen kind of melted down a little bit, not unlike the previous Cubs series. And it almost was a situation that if the starters didn't go super deep into the game, that we'd have no chance of winning. I mean, they did their best on the game that got shut out, right? The 2-0 loss against the Cubs. The pitching staff looked great, and unfortunately Ashcraft got into that when we walked the first runner of the 8th inning, and it did him in, and the Cubs kind of took away another win that the Reds just couldn't muster up any offense. So yeah, the more of the same in terms of it was just it feels like they just don't have enough. I feel like I say this almost every other week or too many times I feel like I'm saying that it's just not enough offense, just not enough guys, professional hitters to get the job done. Like you said, aside from Ellie hitting a 2-run home run today, they score no runs. So it's like they're just in a weird spot where, like you said, they could reel off a bunch of runs and then all of a sudden just go and disappear for a couple games or a week or a couple series. It's frustrating. It's baseball, and it feels criminal to waste all this good pitching is another thing. I feel like I'm saying way too much, but I don't know. Any other thoughts, Mike, on this week?
Well, I mean, you said it correctly. We've got the pitching, right? And I really think we do. Not only do we have the starting pitching, but I think we have a pretty good bullpen as well. So that's half the equation. And I'm sitting here looking at my Twitter timeline. I'm one of these guys who loves baseball as a whole, and I pay attention to a lot. And then I also have two favorite teams, Cincinnati Reds and the Arizona Diamondbacks. So I've got a lot of that stuff on my timeline. And I mean, I'm seeing people on this timeline right now cry fire sale, like the Reds should just part with everybody. And stop panicking, y'all. I mean, we got half the equation. We've had a lot of injuries this year, and we're going to get into a few more topics. And I don't want to give it away too much because for a change, I know what you guys are gonna do, and I just don't get to pop on at the end and be like, okay, let's wing it. But we're going to get into some more of these subjects, and I think if everybody just kind of, I don't want to bring up Aaron Rodgers because I don't like the guy, but relax, everybody. Relax. All right. I think if we make a couple of right moves in the trade deadline and things like that, everything will be just fine. So that's kind of how I'll end everything for the week, and then we'll continue it more here on the rest of the show.
Ricky, any other final thoughts on the week?
I don't want to be too negative. I agree with the fire sale taken, but we'll talk about it more later too. But it's not like we don't have prospects we could trade to make up for the lack of offense. It's just, will they? But yeah, I don't want to get too negative.
Yeah, not necessarily a fire sale this week, but a big trade went down. Mr. 2023 All-Star Alexis Diaz was dealt to the Dodgers this week. Kind of surprised, kind of out of nowhere. There wasn't really, as far as I saw, a lot of rumblings about them dealing him. Obviously, he was in AAA. He was struggling. I think I texted Ricky early in the week as well, saying kind of like it feels like his time was coming to an end. I didn't know if it would be getting traded at the end of May type of end. I mean, maybe trade deadline, maybe middle of the summer. I don't know, is maybe my thought. But like, did the Reds do a good deal? Like, I don't know. Bottom line, Mike, was it a good deal for the Reds?
All right, so I got a lot of notes on this. So you may need to stop me, or maybe need to come back to me here in a second. But I have never liked Alexis Diaz. I'm glad that they traded him away, to be very honest with you. And after you guys talk about the trade, I'm just going to ask you to come back to me because I have a lot of details from the Dodgers end as well. So we'll get to those here in a few minutes. But I mean, so his ERA was 3.99 last year. His fastball dropped 2 miles per hour in velocity. He went from 22.7% K rate and an 11% swinging strike rate. And, for those of you who dive into numbers deep like I do, those are terrible numbers. All right, I'll just put it to you that way. The contact rate. So in other words, how often are people hitting his pitches? It went from 67% 2 years ago to 73.3% last year to 87.1% in his short stint this year. And that means the Reds probably should have seen this coming. And what did the Reds do? They said, you know what? We love you, buddy. And in fact, we'll sign you to a $4.5 million 1-year deal. Come in, join the club, and let's see if we can turn this around. And now you know what happened. So, pretty much everything else I've got is a lot of Dodger notes and stuff, but just giving you the stats on Alexis Diaz and what this team should have seen or what they failed to see, or maybe somebody in the front office just loves Diaz or whatever it is. I don't know. I think the best thing about him right now is that he's got a brother that's a successful major league pitcher. So we'll kind of go from there.
All right. Yeah. Rick, any thoughts on the Diaz trade? As is it the way Mike's saying, like, basically, were they lucky to get anything for him if he's basically on the downturn?
I mean, they got a 13th round pick from this previous year's draft for a guy that was an all-star a year and a half ago. And the guy that they got is also currently on the 7-day IL. So it's just, I I'm at a loss just because the writing was on the wall towards the end of 2023 when he really started struggling finding the strike zone. And I guess you should have traded him. And I get it. You were riding high off the 12-game winning streak and all the prospects coming up, and Ellie and McLean, and I think CES came up in June, and it's just you were riding the high of that, and you're like, oh, Diaz is going to be a part of our future too. But then, like, when you see a closer that can only close, he's terrible in any other role because he wants to close games, and maybe it's just because he likes the adrenaline. But then you got to be good at that job too. But if his fastball isn't in the strike zone, nobody's touching the slider because the slider is never going to be in the strike zone. That's his chase pitch, and you said, Mike, his chase percentage and his contact percentage has gone up because people are sitting on the slider and they're mashing the fastball.
Yep.
I don't know what Mike Vianney is going to be, but I don't know. It just seemed like a salary dump to me that they just could have avoided by not even signing him to begin with and just trading him and getting something better a year ago. They could have got something better a year ago, not even in 2023.
Yeah, he definitely had a rocky end of 2023 that led into a wild and weird, like a high, like 3.99 ERA in 2024 that felt like was probably higher just based on every time he came in, he'd walk a guy, give up a hit, but somehow kind of get that save more times than not. But you're right. There was like a writing on the wall. His numbers had been going down, the velocity had been going down, that it wasn't bouncing back. And I'd like to think the front office was thinking maybe 2025 is the bounce back year, having a rough 2024. We talk about it, from time to time that relievers are hard. It's hard for them to replicate year-on-year dominance or just effectiveness. Sometimes they take a year and then they come back the next year and have a decent year. Maybe that was the thought process of the front office. It was just an arbitration one-year deal, I believe, Mike. So it wasn't necessarily an extension. If he'd given him even more money, then obviously there's more eyebrows to be raised. So yeah, it does feel like a salary dump as well. My first thought was like, is this the market for Reds players? Like we were earlier a couple weeks ago trading. Well, I was trading Friedel, trading Fraley, trading.
You're not the only one saying that. So it's not like you're like free, but like, hey, trade Ellie or something.
Yeah, but like I'm just thinking like if the market is that for obviously a guy that's not playing his best ball, kind of like a Fraley, like you're not going to get very much for, I guess, these guys. And I'm now starting to come around to the thought that maybe the Reds got the most they got for him, except maybe if, our favorite ball player of all time, cash considerations, maybe would have been a even better, trade for them to get that. But I don't know. I think Diaz's time was coming to an end. Unfortunately, he had, just struggles right off the bat after I think he was on the IL to start the season. And then came back to the ball club, and he was even struggling in AAA is just a couple weeks ago. And it was just like it's going the wrong direction for Alexis Diaz. Hopefully he can find some sort of rebound in the Dodgers, except for the fact that it's the Dodgers and it's only upside for them. I'm guessing if he does well, great. If he doesn't, he's just another guy that they could just kind of maybe salary dump him and not extend him or whatnot. But Mike, you were talking about there's some Dodger stuff that you have on this side of the deal, and we'd love.
Well, you set me up really well, Ricky, and I appreciate that by saying, hey, the Dodgers must see an upside. The Dodgers do see an upside, and this is probably the upside that the Reds saw as well, but it just didn't work out here, right? So the Dodgers are covering all, by the way, of his $2.95 million salary. So that's a win for the Reds, right? That's almost $3 million more that we can, cross our fingers and hope they use in free agency at the trade deadline, right? So maybe. Stop rolling your eyes, Ricky. I saw that. So we've got basically $3 more million to play with. But here's what a lot of people don't really realize because of the Dodgers and where they are in the luxury tax. Okay, so they'll pay 110% luxury tax on this salary. So that figure is another $3.25 million. So altogether, the Dodgers are actually going to pay $6.2 million for Alexis Diaz. Now, do you know where they sent Diaz by chance? Did either one of you know what they did with him?
No.
He's in Arizona, by the way.
ACL Dodgers?
Yes, he is with the Arizona Rookie League Dodgers right now. I may try to go see him sometime this week. It's not very far away from my house. So I got a bunch of Reds cards that I'm either going to throw away or try to get Diaz to sign. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, that's where they actually sent him. So they're basically reconstructing him, redoing everything that he is doing. And for those of you who don't really know it, Ricky, you hinted to it earlier. You're right. The $4.5 million that the Reds signed into was an arbitration deal. That's 100% accurate. So here's how the Dodgers are looking at it. You know what? We'll get an ex-All-Star. We'll send into our complex league, our rookie league, whichever one of those two you want to call it. It's referred to as both. We'll redo him. We'll put some time. We'll put some effort into him. And if we can get him to be anything close to what this Diaz used to be, they've got control of him for 3 more seasons on an arbitration eligible. So he's not a free agent for 3 more years. And I think that's why the Reds were so reluctant to trade him. You know, we were talking last year at the end of this show when we were talking about some trades, and I'll get to a couple of those when we get to that segment here in a few moments. But we were saying we need to get controllable players back in here. And the Reds had one in Diaz. And I think that's why they didn't really want to let him go. But it got so bad and the numbers were looking so bad that they thought, you know what, maybe this is one of those, and we've heard this how many times in the Reds lore, right? A change of scenery guy. You know, we give him a change of scenery and then we get another pick and maybe he'll be fine. Also, let me give you a couple of things on Villani, right? Vianney. I'm not sure 100% sure how to pronounce it. He was from Long Beach State. Ricky mentioned it earlier, a 13th round pick. Fantastic. He was ranked 453rd when the Baseball America did their top 500 prospects. So he's at least in the top 500. And he has a 98 mile per hour fastball that he has great command and control over, but he still needs to work on his supplemental stuff. So don't think that he's going to be a savior for us, but he could be a piece of the bullpen. One of those guys that comes in maybe 6, 7, 8 and gives you an inning or two, you know, every 3 days. Something like that is what he's projected to be right now.
I'm not too sure about that because they put him in low A Daytona, the Tortugas. Mm-hmm. So, and is he 22 years old? So, like a guy starting, unless he impresses right off the bat, I don't know, man. They have other arms well ahead of him if they're putting him in the low A Daytona. I don't know. He's obviously a guy they hopefully will get something out of this deal, but I don't know. It seems like they just got something, a body, to be honest with you. No disrespect to Vianney, but he's not starting off in the best place, and he's already 22 years old. Unless he progresses really quickly this summer, I don't know. He might be a guy that we'll be not talking about a lot at all.
Right, and as Ricky already mentioned, he is injured right now, and he's only pitched 2 innings in his entire first season of pro ball because he's been injured so much. So, we'll cross our fingers and hope somebody somewhere knows something we don't know.
Yeah, fingers crossed for sure. Ricky, any other last thoughts on Diaz?
Yeah, I guess I'll say this: the Reds really did the Dodgers a favor by not using hardly any of Diaz's options in his entire career. We just kind of let him work through it at the major league level. So the Dodgers also have options with Diaz as well. So, yeah, it looks like they're going to have a future all-star on their hands.
Yeah, and it sounds like we got crawled. But yeah, moving on. Just the Alexis Diaz trade, nothing we can do about it right now, unfortunately. Done and dusted. Good luck to Alexis Diaz. Hopefully, you know, he doesn't help them win another World Series, but if he does, good for him. But the Reds are, you know, floating about that 500. They're not too good to tank, not too good to contend. As I was talking to Ricky before the show, the Brewers have won 7 in a row, and now all of a sudden the Reds are in 4th place above the Pirates, not necessarily, you know, in any wild card contention either. So like is this a situation where if the Reds have a terrible June, are we looking at more deals coming? Mike, do you see that in the near future?
So I am not near as gloom and doom as I think the two of you are, because I believe that we are just a few players away, to be really honest. And I know we've heard that plenty of times before, but if you look at their totality of their pitching staff and their hitting, I don't want to get off into too many tangents here, but I think we have the pitching staff. I don't think Nick Martinez has been as good as we thought he was going to be, but we'll talk about Andrew Abbott here in a little bit. He's been really good. I will say that Hunter Green is a superstar, and we got him on the cheap. So we should, it's kind of like one of those football rookie deals, right? We got somebody on the cheap. We should add some players around him and see if we can't put all of our chips into the middle of the table, as far as like a gambling scenario goes. But that's what I think we should do, is we should put all of our chips into the table. And when you want to get into a couple of specific things that I'd like to see them do, and a couple of specific trades that I'd like to see them make, we'll do that here in the segment as well. But I'll kind of hang out and let you guys talk for a moment. But like I said, I'm just not as gloom and doom as you guys are. I think one big power bat, or maybe another RBI guy or another fast guy, would be all this team really needs. And we'll kind of talk about it a little bit more, I'm sure, as this segment goes along.
Mike, I thought we got the fast guy. I thought we got Garrett Hampson. Isn't that the guy? Isn't that the guy that's supposed to make everybody in Cincinnati just, think about the World Series? Anyway, well, I guess I could take it the other way as well, in terms of like the deals that could make the team better. Because, like I said, they're hovering around 500. There was a weird stat that happened on Friday where they were 28 and 28, 14 and 14 on the road, 15 and 15 at home. Like against NL and AL, just straight up 500 across the board. It felt like the Reds are just kind of they're being the Reds, just not good enough. Like I said, to tank, not good enough to make the playoffs. But Rick,
I'm sorry, Roger, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but as you talk about this, I've said this on the Sports Truth many times. This is the worst place for a team to be, at 500. Because there are going to be people on your fan base that are saying, hey, you're at 500. Add a couple players and you can push yourself over that 500 mark, and maybe we can get into a wild card playoff and see what happens. And then there are other people in this fan base who are going to be like, oh, no, you're at 500. So just trade everybody who's going to be on an expiring contract in the next year or two, and let's just start over again. So, and I'm sure the front office is looking at things and thinking about things the same way. So this is the worst place for any team to be, is at that 500 mark.
Yeah. Ricky, where do you think the Reds go from here?
I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. It's just so difficult, man. They're in such a bad spot that, I mean, do you sell everything, or do you just ride it out? I would say, if I had to make any crazy out there moves, I'm moving prospects that, not crazy prospects. Like, I wouldn't move. I'm not touching the top. I'm not touching 3 out of the top 5. Like, I'm not. Louder could be one that I could move, and Arroyo's one that I could move, just because I don't see an immediate place for Arroyo right away. And Louder, I think with Burns, his emergence is, I don't know. It's just he's not touchable in my opinion. So I guess Friedel would be one that you could look at, just because he has team control, and he seems to be one that would be you get the most out of, other than Ellie. And I'm not saying trade Ellie. I'm not on that train. Ellie's here for as long as we have him. But yeah, that's where I'm at.
I guess my question that I'm starting to think in my head, quick one for you guys. Is this a team presently constructed? Is it a 76 win team, or is it an 84 win team right now? Or somewhere in between?
I'll say it's a 76 win team. You hope for the other. It's just everybody wants to jump on Francona for how everything's been going, but he can only do so much with the players that he has also. Should Espinal be batting in the two hole? Probably not. But I mean, who's going to play third base right now, and who in the lineup? I mean, I get it. He's been struggling here recently, but that's who I've been saying too. That's who I've been saying. But versus left-handed pitching, Lux isn't touching anybody. But I don't know. It's maybe versus left-handed pitching, you put in Steer at the 2-hole. He's been kind of heating up a little bit. You can kind of. The obvious answer is to put Ellie at the 2-hole, but I don't think Ellie just doesn't want to play there. And I guess if you had to put somebody there now, it would be Stevenson or Steer, and then versus right-handed pitching, put Lux there. But
Okay.
The glaring answer is Matt McLain being productive, and Matt McLain is your 2-hole hitter. And if he's not, if Noelvi Marte can get back and produce, he could be a number 2 hitter. They had him batting cleanup for a little while, and I don't like that. He's not a power hitter. So that's that. I guess that's my 2. I would say McLain is the one that needs to produce and be the number 2-hole hitter. But with who you have now, Lux versus right-handed pitching, and then Stevenson or Steer versus left-handed pitching.
Okay, so I'm going to disagree with you a lot here. So first of all, you have to look at the Reds and say, okay, Austin Hayes right now is their only big power threat besides Ellie De La Cruz. Stevenson might be before it's all said and done, and Steer might be before it's all said and done, but as it's currently constructed, they're not. So I agree. I'll say that Friedel is 1, Ellie is 2, and then for me, the guy who bats second is your fastest guy on the field. Now, I understand Ellie's your fastest guy on the field, but he's not batting 2. So believe it or not, I would like to see Will Benson bat number 2 because he is really fast. He is long and lengthy and can steal you some bases. And I think I like the, I'm over here doing the LUX thing. Yeah, I think versus right-handers, Gavin Lux needs to bat number 2, but versus everybody else, put Benson at number 2. As far as where are they, Roger's original question before, Ricky took us on this huge tangent over here somewhere. But I love you, buddy. I do. So 80, I'm going to go 81 because I think if Hayes is in there more, they win more. So that's what my difference is going to be. And I think if Steer's shoulder is better, then they win more. So I'm going to say that both of those guys will be in the lineup more and Steer will be a better player. And later on, when we talk about another player that Ricky brought up in the rant here a second ago, I've got a crazy thing that I want to do with Spencer Steer here in a little bit. We'll tease that and get back to it here in a few moments. So there's where I'm at. Yeah,
I think obviously in the weeks that they do poorly, they look like a 76-win team. And then when they're sweeping the Guardians, they look like an 84-win team. So I guess I'm somewhere in between. They seem to be, I don't know, treading water at 500. So 81, I feel like that's kind of a semi-successful season. Obviously, it's more than they're projected to win. I don't know if this front office has the gumption to add a lot. They might do the Reds thing where they add a small bat, small pitching, like a reliever or whatnot. But I don't know. I guess I have to see it to believe it type of thing with this front office. I'd love to have that additional power bat to go, especially when Hayes goes out with an injury. Then all of a sudden our offense seems to disappear. And when there's no Austin Hayes, then it seems to be very, very, average, to say the least. But yeah, I don't know. This team's I guess that's why we keep watching. We're trying to figure out what this team is. Yeah. And they keep us at least, I don't know, entertained is a bit much. They keep us engaged enough to say, what are we looking at? Are we looking at a good team or are we looking at a below average team? But one guy that's not below average is a guy that I've been, started the campaign, probably the campaign started before, but Mr. Andrew Abbott has been looking like, to me, an all-star. His numbers seem to show it. He is a guy that generally starts out the year very hot. His rookie year, I think he won his first 5 decisions as well. He's 5-0 this time around. is Andrew Abbott our all-star, or do we have multiple all-stars? I guess is another part to this question. If you want to go there, Mike, is this guy an all-star?
Well, he's an all-star. Let me quickly give you something that's up on our spot at the 643 and Out Pod on X. You can go over there and look at several things. I'm punching up some stuff here in a few moments that we will certainly get to, but you guys can get a preview over there real fast if you want. If you can do two things at once, I don't know. My wife says I can't, but maybe some of you guys can. So the month of May, right? And I keep moving this way because I've got a computer over here and my phone up here and this computer up here and some stuff on this side of me. So I got all kinds of stuff all around me here. So the Cardinals, Halsey has the most saves, 9. Tarek Skubal has the most strikeouts in the month of May with 59. The most innings pitched goes to a Houston Astro. That would be Valdez. He has 42 innings pitched. And the guy who has the best ERA, there it is right there. And the guy who has the best ERA in all of baseball for the month of May, 0.55. 0.5 away from a half a run, you guys. It's not like he's barely, I mean, that's dominant stuff right there for a complete month. And there's our guy right there, Andrew Abbott. Is he an all-star? Absolutely. Do we have another one? I mean, I think with his popularity, Ellie's going to get in.
Yeah.
And I'd love to talk about Ellie and his sister and all that stuff here whenever we get a chance to do that too. But I'd like to focus on him for a few minutes. Not that I'm trying to take over your show or nothing, but I think that's something we should mention here. But I also think that maybe Hunter Green has an outside shot of getting in. But beyond that, I don't see anybody else on this team even remotely getting any kind of consideration.
Ricky?
Yeah, I agree with everything you just said. Ellie, just based off popularity, is going to get in. He's one of the best shortstops in the National League, and he's probably top 3 most popular in the National League. And Abbott's performance is very all-star worthy. Green, up until his injury, was probably going to be the all-star starter for the National League. Yeah. And as with Skeens having, I don't want to say a down year, just not, what he was last year.
He's just a Pirate.
And he's on the Pirates. Just terrible bumfoolery of a franchise. Reds aren't far away from it, but man, at least we can dog on the Pirates. And there's a chance Friedl could sneak in there. I'll give him this, just because he's been riding a really hot wave. He had a 7-game multi-hit streak where it was 7 consecutive games with at least 2 hits. And he's right around 300. And, you look at some of the old all-star lineups, and in 2003, if you weren't batting 330 or better, you weren't an all-star. Nowadays, you can get away with batting 270, and you're a certified all-star. So, I think if there was an outside chance, I think Friedl could sneak in as like a bench option.
Yeah, for sure. That seems to be rounded up, depending on how June goes, and I think the voting happens fairly soon. So Ellie seems to be a shoe in there. Andrew Abbott, as far as I'm seeing here, is top 10 pitching WAR. So it's almost kind of slam dunk. It'd be kind of disappointing if he doesn't get in, especially if he repeats the success in June. He should have at least, not necessarily starter considerations. I'm sure, a guy like Skeens might still get in there and still be the starter based on the popular vote and what have you. But he's definitely should be in that consideration for sure to be in the All-Star game as our pitching representative at least. And then Hunter hopefully comes back and shows his stuff he's been showing all year round. I mean, the guy keeps getting the short end of the reward stick. Like, he barely got in last year. I think he was an injury replacement, if I'm remembering right. I forget for who. But he wasn't an all-star when, all the voting and all that stuff was done. He got in, kind of snuck in at the last moment. But then Ricky and I have detailed that he got shorted for not. He didn't get the pitcher of the year for the Reds last year. It went to Nick Martinez of all people. And
Yeah.
like he's got to be on some sort of revenge tour. So hopefully he can come back, show his stuff that he has been showing. The previous outings that he's had this year, and gets maybe, like you said, maybe a chance to be the all-star starter for the NL. We'd love to see that. So,
Mhm.
but any
Yeah,
other
so
thoughts? Go
Well,
ahead.
just so you guys know, June 4th, this coming Wednesday, is when the All-Star ballots come out. So then the first round of the ballot is from the 4th until the 26th. So they're doing the whole thing with, the first round thing, and then you get some extra stuff on top of that. So starts this coming Wednesday and will go till June 26th. So you can vote on MLB.com, of course, and some other platforms. So all of our Reds fans out there should go and vote for at least those three guys that we were talking about, for Andrew Abbott, for Hunter Green, and then for Ellie De La Cruz, and maybe even TJ Friedel if you think he is deserving.
And Austin wins. Don't forget him.
Oh, of course, yeah. We got to make sure the third catcher gets in there, right? How many at bats did that guy get this week? Like maybe 4, 5
I think he's had 4 at-bats this month.
month. I'm
Yeah.
so sorry. I gave him way too much credit.
Yeah, since Stevenson has been called up early May, he hasn't done anything. He started May 6th and has basically just disappeared. But typical Reds, they can't even find a way to get him in the lineup if that's what they even want. They had 3 catchers a couple of years ago with Kurt Casale, Tyler Stevenson, and Luke Maile. So it's not like it's an unheard of thing to just keep catchers around for the Reds. I don't know if that's something that Diamondbacks do, but definitely the Reds are prone to do it from time to time.
No, it's not.
I wanted to add something on to Andrew Abbott too. His WAR in 2023 was 2.8. That's a whole season.
Mhm.
His WAR in 2024 was 3.3. That was a whole season. Currently, we are at June 1st, and his WAR is 2.4. So he is on pace to just destroy that, And wins above average, 2.1 in 2024, 1.8 in 2023. He's at 2.0 already in 2025. So he's on pace. This is a career year for him in every aspect. And I get it. He's always been kind of a fast starter and fizzled off towards the end. There was some reports that he came into camp noticeably lighter this year, and it seemed like he kind of worried about his physical conditioning in a way. So maybe I'm not saying he's going to finish the season like this. Maybe he doesn't win the Cy Young, but if he could keep doing this, and then if his fizzling off is an above average starter, we got something with him, and he's still young. This is only his second full season. He's came up midway through 2023 as well. He's one of the other 17 guys that got called up that season.
Yeah.
So maybe he's figured it out, and maybe this means he could be that number 2. And then Lodolo, we haven't had any contract extension talks with him, and he's going into, I think, his second year of arbitration this year, or maybe his first year. He's out of his 3 years of renewability. So maybe they're worried about Lodolo long term, and then with Abbott performing, maybe he can fill the void, and then maybe you move Lodolo or bullpen him or something.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. It's a good question. We got plenty of arms also in the minor league system, as we've detailed a lot in the show as well. You love the 2.4 WAR out of the 5th starter. that's
Yeah.
to say the least. That
And he didn't even start the season. He missed the first 2 or 3 starts.
Yep.
So maybe he'll hopefully he'll put it all together the back half of the season. We detailed that as well. That I think Ricky, you've talked about his his July and August ERAs tend to get a little bit bigger. So I don't think we should expect a 0.55 ERA into June and July, but anything, replacement level would be. We'll take it here in Cincinnati. And
I want to add one more thing on too. Sorry, just Baseball Reference has me wrapped up. So his career ERA, even with those blow-ups in those months, is still 3.42. That's how good he's been to start seasons. But this year is just another level for him. and he's 5-0. Like Hunter Green struggled. I mean, how good he was last year, struggled to get 10 wins.
Yeah.
And Abbott's already 5-0. And with a team with an offense that doesn't score runs, he's going out there and he's only allowing 1 run, and we're winning a game 2-1, or whatever the case may be. But just, I'm happy. It makes me happy just because he was one of the people that people were saying, "Oh, just trade him. We'll get something for him." And he's out here saying, "Hey, I'm going to be your best pitcher."
Now, Ricky, aren't you speaking out both sides of your mouth right now? Because you were the guy not 20 minutes ago who was sell the team, sell them all, get rid of them. And now you're saying, oh, you know what? Hunter's pretty good. Abbott's pretty good. Lodolo looks nice. We got a good 1-2-3 combination here. I like Ashcraft in the bullpen. I like this. I like that. So here's what I'm telling you to do. I said it last week. I'm going to say it this week. I still think the Athletics will trade Brett Rooker if you include some of those prospects that we've got. Put that older guy, because as you already, guys, I know both of you know this because we discussed it last week. He is an older professional player. They're not going to be in their new stadium in Vegas for 3 more years. Will he be that guy in 3 years to lead them? Probably not, right? So the Reds trade some of their prospects that the A's can build up for 3 years. And by the time they get to their Vegas ballpark, which, by the way, looks really cool if you haven't seen any of the pictures,
Yeah.
I'm going to try to see it here within the next couple of months and go up there and catch some games. But their Las Vegas plays up there, which is the AAA team. So I'm going to try to go up there and catch some games there. They actually have a lazy river that goes all the way around that stadium and everything. It's pretty nice to go up and see it. But the AAA All-Star game is usually there, and the AAA playoffs are almost always up there. So I'm going to go up there during those times to try to see some of that. Anyway, that's what I want. I want to trade like 3 or 4 prospects and get Brett Rooker in here, put him at number 4, and then you've got Ellie, Rooker, and Hayes, and let's just go. I really think they're one big bopper away from being able to go up on some of these other teams. And I know my mic fades out when I turn my fat head the other way, but if you look at these standings, right? So yeah, the Cubs are in first place, and they've beaten us 4 out of 6, right? So, but we're only 4.5 games behind them in the standings. It's not like we're 20 games out. We're not even double-digit games out. It's us, it's St. Louis, and them and the Cardinals are actually tied with the same record right now. Milwaukee, who we'll talk about in a few moments because we play them this week, we've got the chance to jump up over top of them, right? And then the Reds are right there. We're only 4.5 games out. Let's be optimistic, you couple of pessimistic bugs, you. I mean, come on. Come to the light side.
I try to find myself more positive than not. It's when you have Santiago Espinal batting second, there's a fundamental problem with who the players that we have on the roster. And I'm not blaming Francona at all. Like, I am pro Tito. And with all these guys saying fire Tito, he's a bum. The game's way past him. Bring back David Bell. Like, Twitter is crazy right now with all of the fire David Bell takes, or fire Tito takes. We already fired David Bell. I want to be optimistic because we have really good key pieces. I love Ellie. I love McLean. I love Noel V. Marte. I love Christian Encarnacion Strand. I love Hunter Green. I love Andrew Abbott. And Lodolo worries me a little bit just because of the health. And
his agent.
And yeah, he's got a good agent. And there are other guys down the pike that aren't far away that could replace a couple of those guys on the Major League roster. Like we talked about Chase Burns, Rhett Lauder. You get a little bit further. There's guys. And on the offensive side, you got Chase Petty, which I am still on Chase Petty. Yeah, I don't think he wasn't ready to come up. And I didn't want him up.
He got lit up today in AAA too, by the way.
Yeah, I was on the take of I don't want to see Petty. Like I knew based off of last year, he only started 3 games in AAA last year.
Mhm.
And when they brought him up in May, I was like, you got to be kidding me. This guy had 3 starts in AAA last year, a handful this year. He's not, his command's not there yet. He's not ready. But I'm still pro Chase Petty. And who's the guy that played for LSU with Skeens that we got? Oh, jeez. He's in Daytona.
Yeah, Safura.
No, pitcher.
Oh,
He was their number 2. He's a top 30.
Yeah, I'm looking at him right now. Stravinsky, is that who you're talking about?
no, he's
No,
at Dayton.
no. Hang on, I'll get him.
Center.
Ty
You got
Floyd.
Ty
Ty
Floyd.
Floyd.
Okay.
Ty Floyd was the number 2 at LSU with Paul Skeens. And I think he had a Tommy John or something last year where he was out last year. And this is his first year coming back. But he's projected to come up in 26. So he's not terribly far away either. So I guess I'm more optimistic because we have talent. It's just on the areas to where we don't have talent, I don't even think they're major league players. Like Jacob Hurtubise and Blake Dunn, like we had those guys on the roster for how long? And they're in AAA batting like $140. And they took a big league spot over Reese Hines. And then we go out and sign Garrett Hampson and Connor Joe. And I'm not anti-Connor Joe. Like he's a serviceable player. But when you have Reese Hines who can crush the ball, and granted, he's not Aaron Judge. He's not hitting a home run every time. But I guess long-winded just moves. We beg the team to make moves because we need talent. But the moves that they make just are dumb. Like what? Why are we signing a guy like Garrett? Garrett Hampson didn't even hardly play at all for your Diamondbacks, and here we are,
Yep.
major league
There was a reason for
contract.
that.
And like the Diamondbacks aren't exactly setting the world on fire either. And he gets cut from a team that's similar to the Reds, and you sign him to a major league contract, and he comes out 2 days later and starts. I don't understand it. Like just those moves just dumbfound me.
Yeah, I think we're all getting at the answer that I was looking to propose. Are the Reds mid? Mid nowadays is the average, but it's a negative. It's negative. The kids nowadays, mid is negative, right? You can just stink, and at least then you get draft picks for it. But like the Reds are in this middling ground that we've been talking about, and the stats to throw this at you, Mike, and maybe as to why that we're not necessarily the most positive. We're pro players for sure. Like we want Ellie and all these guys. We want McLean to get out of his rut and whatnot. We're not doubting that these guys are going to play to the back of their cards. Ellie is now starting to heat up, and we'll talk about him, like you said, in a little bit. But the stats that are struggling for me is that, was it now including today, they've had 21 games out of 60 where they've scored 2 runs or less. A third of their games, and a bunch of those are also getting shut out. Or they've been shut out 7 times. So 7 of the 21 of those games, like a third of those games are shut out. Like it's just erratic. And baseball can throw those stats at you. Obviously, it's a long sample of 100 or big sample of 162 games. So you're going to get those situations that you're going to find weird stats in amongst the season. We've already thrown out the 3 and 23 on rubber day or rubber matches, which is, again, an appalling stat for a club that if you're a player away, I feel like you're not playing that kind of baseball. You know what I mean? Like obviously 3 and 23 is rough. And then also there's just this lack of organizational trust that Ricky's kind of hitting on with the Hampson, the fact that Tyler Callahan, we were talking about this pre-show, that Tyler Callahan gets that gruesome injury, and the first guy they call up is their company man Jacob Hurtubise, and he was hitting, I think, like before that, like 190 in AAA. So it's like the moves in the front office. Maybe there's stuff that we don't see that they have to do in terms of exercising different options, figuring out what lineups and what stuff. Like I'm not sure exactly what Tito weighs into in terms of roster construction, but if he's the one that's asking for like some of these moves to be made, I don't know. I guess I think hopefully just the front office kind of giving him some players, but the players that he seems to be getting are, I don't know. I'd love to see Brent Rooker on the Reds. Will that happen? I don't think so. And then that's not just being, negative, right, because of what exactly the Reds are, but that's just like historical kind of like we're just not that team. We're the one that's going to take a guy that's from AAA, bring him up, fingers crossed that he's going to get hot, inspire the team to go on a run in June, a la Reese Hines, a la how like Austin Hayes inspires them from time to time. It just feels like, like you had said at the beginning when you first came on, same old, same old.
Yeah, so by using that logic, they're going to bring up Edwin Rios.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
He's leading the backs with 10 home runs right now. So.
Yeah, that's it. And they've got some guys that should be getting called up. We'll talk about it in our 3 Up, 3 Down. Ricky's been banging the horn on obviously Chase Burns and Hector Rodriguez and Sal Stewart. Like we've got guys that seemingly might have the goods. Will they get the chance before Jacob Hurtubise and Blake Dunn come back? Who knows? I mean, Jake Fraley's back, so there's that. Just want to put that out there. Shout out to Jake Fraley. Ricky, I think your audio, are you hearing him, Mike? I think your audio is off.
No, I can hear him. He's typing. Oh, I don't think maybe. I don't know. We don't need Ricky anyway.
Yeah, he's been having audio issues all night. Anything? You hear us? Oh, boy. Anyway, Mike, this might be a good opportunity. You wanted to talk about Mr. Elly De La Cruz. He unfortunately had his sister, and I think actually a couple days ago his grandmother passed away as well. And he had a tribute on his shoes today to his sister and dedicated, I think, probably that home run to her as well. I'd like to give you the floor to talk about Mr. Elly De La Cruz and what he's been going through.
Yeah, that's fantastic, and I appreciate you doing that. So, and as you said, he did have a thing on his shoes today where he did do that. It said R.I.P. Miata, I believe is how you say it, M-A-I-T-A, which is Spanish slang for sister. Being here in Arizona, I get a lot of Spanish stuff. I can't speak it very well, except for words that, we can't put on this show. But I seem to learn those words in prison. But, hey, anyway, we got a lot of that going on. And he also, I want to talk about him and that home run that he did hit today. It's a StatCast darling today. I don't know if you guys know this. Number one, it was his 50th home run of his career. It came off the bat at 117.4 miles an hour. And according to StatCast, we now have the StatCast era, right? So according to StatCast, that is the hardest hit home run ever hit in Wrigley Field by either an opposing team or anyone on the Cubs. So that will go down in history today when, he was dedicating this game to his sister. That's going to be the best one ever. So I thought that was pretty neat. But I do have a question for both of you, and I think this is going to be kind of a little bit of an interesting topic to kind of, put everything in perspective for this. He is usually very open with the media, is Elly De La Cruz. I noticed because I was listening to the away broadcast for a little bit, and they were like, oh, look, he pointed to the sky and he made the little heart symbol, and I'm sure that's for his sister. And I'm screaming at the radio going, no, retards, he does that all the time. But not that wasn't for his sister, but it's like, do you guys not watch games either? Because I watch all kinds of games and all kinds of different teams and everything else. So I'm just a baseball nut. I mean, I know you guys are more concentrated on the Reds, but I try to look at everybody's teams as a whole. Here's my question for the both of you, though. He's usually very jubilant and will talk. I don't know if you guys knew this or not, but he didn't talk to the media post. He didn't talk to the media pre. And if you watch the game close enough, in his very first at bat, he took a timeout at 2-0 and stepped out of the box. And even if you watch the umpire looked at him like, are you okay? He didn't say anything to him, but he was like, are you okay? And it looked like it took Elly a couple extra seconds to kind of collect himself and get back in the batter's box. So the question basically is, are we going to give him a pass not speaking to the media and stuff on a day like this? Or is this the day that we should have full access to Elly and be able to ask him what he's thinking and what he's feeling? We still can't hear you, Ricky.
Man. Oh, so I'll take this. Ricky still hopefully figure out his issues before the end of the show. Do you have media availability? I don't know. I'm not too, I don't have a real good grasp of what the availability requirements are for baseball players. I feel like there's a lot of obviously availability when they get to their locker and whatnot, but I'm not sure if they can get like the media can be like pushed away and leave a guy alone. I would say this might be the one day you can leave him alone. He might be still collecting his thoughts. He might still be trying to figure it. I know a lot of men in times of great tragedy, like the Brett Favre situation, his dad passed away. They just want to get back to the game, get back to like some sort of normalcy, so to speak, to not necessarily, forget the tragedy, but maybe just to honor the lost ones, to get some sort of, maybe some emotional stuff off their back to play something that they, love and, or, excel at and can show that they still are, they're human as well, right? Like they want to do things that they're normally do. They don't want to just shut down and sit there and not have any, I don't know, it to wallow in your own thoughts and whatnot. So I don't know. I don't know if exactly the media availability thing bothers me as so much. If it gets prolonged for weeks and weeks and weeks and he's never available, because he's usually a good interview anyway, whether he's struggling or not. So it doesn't bother me today.
And that was kind of my point, was that he's almost always available. But on the flip side, right, if he's going to be in that state, then should he even play? And I guess from what I read, from what Terry Francona said afterward, and again, I know you guys are probably preparing for this podcast. I was not preparing near as hard as what the two of you do. But so I was able to watch some things afterward. And Terry Francona even said we gave him the option and he said he wanted to play. So maybe the coach should take over, and I don't want to say be a coach, but maybe the coach should step in and be like, hey, if you're this distraught, if you don't want to have a media availability, if you don't want to have all these things, maybe you should just take the day off.
Yeah, maybe. Rick, are you back?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right.
Like a bad Verizon commercial. Yes.
It's not the microphone I want to use. It's using my webcam for some reason. But I was kind of looking at an article Mark Sheldon wrote just a couple hours ago. He still got 2 hits today with the home run
and a walk.
Yeah, and so I guess I'll give him a pass just for the fact that it happened today, and his sister. I don't think it was not expected, because I said that she had an extended period of health issues throughout her whole entire life. I don't know if they were like death, was expected young or whatever, but. Yeah, I guess if it's like, a week and he's still not talking, maybe Tito kind of sits him down and says, hey, like, you okay? You need a break or something. But I also wouldn't be surprised if tomorrow he goes on the bereavement list, just because it's a day after travel day. We're going to a new week, new team. Maybe that's a thing, and then they kind of give him a break. But for a team aspect, it stinks, because who fills Elly's shoes on this roster? I mean, he's the only thing that you look forward to in this lineup every day. And he's had his struggles, but he's still Elly De La Cruz. He is the guy on this team that you can. Yeah, he might go over 5 with 5 strikeouts, but he could draw that walk when you're down 1-0 and get on third within 3 pitches. So. I don't know. It stinks, but I also wouldn't be surprised if tomorrow's the day he goes on the bereavement list.
Right, because his sister is actually in the Dominican. I don't know if you or our fans know that, but I'm sure he's going to want to travel back to the Dominican and be with his family for a little bit and all of that kind of thing. So then we have an off day on Thursday, obviously. So maybe they structure something where he misses the last day of the Brewers series and the first day of the Diamondbacks series or something like that, and then takes the Thursday too, or I don't know. We'll see. But I just thought it was kind of interesting that he did play today. And she passed away on Saturday, I guess, really late Saturday. So he had the night to deal with it, and still decided to play. So I'm actually going to give him some credit for being a team player and getting out there. And if it hadn't have been for him, we'd have been shut out again.
Yeah, there's always that. But we'll transition now. I don't know, Mike, if you prepared for this, but we are at the point of the show where we pick our Red Hot Red of the Week. It's our player of the week that for the Reds week that has been. I usually, I like to say, I choose a couple guys because I don't want to necessarily try to choose the same guy. Now it's going to be even more complicated because now I got two people to try not to overlap with. But I'll start with you, Mike. Do you have a Red Hot Red of the Week?
He might not be a red hot red of the week, but I think it's the red that's going to make the most difference in this and the upcoming weeks because I can see his bat turning around. Tyler Stevenson really was on some pitches this week. It really looked like he was seeing the ball well. And I think moving forward, Tyler Stevenson is going to be that guy who might be the guy that we're all wanting him to be for the next few weeks. And with Ellie possibly going out, as we just talked about, I think it's time for Tyler Stevenson to put the weight of the Reds on his shoulders and carry it like we all thought he was going to a couple years ago.
Yeah, for sure. Ricky?
Yeah, I guess I'm going to stick with the Ellie narrative. I think Ellie he's batting .333 over his last 7 games. He's got 3 home runs. He's got 9 hits in his last 27 at-bats. And out of those hits, he's had 10 runs scored as well. The stolen bases are down because he has been nursing a leg injury. They haven't really been specific on what it actually is, but it's just been a leg injury. And he's actually only struck out 6 times and walked 3 times in his last week too. So I'll go with Ellie. It was a tough choice between him and Andrew Abbott for me.
Yeah, that would be my guy. I had him as kind of the second. I'll promote him now to my Red Hot Red of the Week. Andrew Abbott got the win against the Cubs because, like Mike had pointed out earlier in the show, we need wins against division opponents. Any way we can get them, whether it's even against the stinky Pirates. We need to definitely get as many division wins because that's going to ultimately kind of decide who ends up going into the playoffs. Is if you can stack those wins against the Cubs, against, I don't think we see them again until like August or something. So if you can get wins against the Cardinals and the Brewers coming up right now, oh gosh, we would definitely, I think, have definitely a change in tone, Mike. If we sweep or take 2 out of 3 from the Brewers, who have kind of had our number the last couple years, it feels like, in terms of just they seem to have enough. When I talk about we don't have enough offense, enough pitching to get the job done, the Brewers seem to win 3 out of 4, 2 out of 3 games, sweep against us, and it's not fun to be on that side of it for sure.
Yeah, and their winners of 7 in a row right now as well.
So they're bound to lose, right?
There we go.
But yeah, and then Ricky, I don't know, do you got a comment for this week? We usually do the red Facebook comment of the week. There was one, the Mark Sheldon one hit me with the 500 everywhere. I don't think I sent that to you, but it was I can bring it up for myself, but the Reds this past I think it was on Friday. This is when the stat came up. They were 500. They were 29-29, 15-15 on the road, 14-14 at home. 5-5 in their last 10 games, 10-10 in their last 20, and 20-20 in their last 40 games. And they're also in the NL Central. They're 9-9. So Reds are peak mid, and that's not a Facebook comment of the week because we usually get the really wacky ones, the Error de la Cruz and whatnot. But we maybe we're getting soft in our old age, getting a little bit nicer comments and whatnot, but.
Yeah, I can scroll through here real quick see if I can find one.
Reds Facebook. I don't know.
Okay, so I don't do a whole lot of Reds Facebook, but let me give you something from that. Again, you can get from our website. I just put it up on the 643 and Out guys on our Twitter spot, which is we do Codify a lot. And if you guys aren't following Codify on X, I'll give them a quick shout out at Codify Baseball. It's CODIFY, and they have a stat up right now that's interesting to me. The 2025 games where a starting pitcher did not go 4 innings there are teams that have had that happen to them 12 times. The Chicago White Sox, which you would say, okay, and the Los Angeles Dodgers have had it happen to them 12 times. They're tied for the lead. Number 8 is Atlanta and Toronto, or excuse me, 9 times that's been Atlanta, and Toronto has had a starter not go 4 innings. And then number 8, this will be good for you guys. 8, Miami, Baltimore, Milwaukee, and Cincinnati have all had a starter not go 4 innings 8 times. And then the number 1 team that's only had a starter not go 4 innings twice, we should all be able to predict this, the Tampa Bay Rays.
Interesting. That's a good stat. And I didn't see that coming. But yeah, nice.
Yeah, the comments I was seeing were not PG, so I'm not going to worry about them.
Red's Facebook, Mike, I was saying it's a terrible place to live. It's not.
There was some complaining about LA taking a timeout in his first at bat. It's like, come on, man. He just literally just found out 2 hours before that his sister died. So
yeah. Well, maybe they didn't know to give them some sort of benefit of the doubt. But maybe
it's the same usual suspects. Yeah, I know their names.
Oh, okay. Okay, you got a watch list, huh?
I got their accounts are starred, so when they pop up, it's like almost like the FBI. I get notified.
Golly. All right. Moving on to our minor league wrap up. It's a 3 up, 3 down. It's where we profile guys that are doing pretty well, and a couple guys are not doing so well in our minor league system. I got Ricky, I think, got a graphic here. For our guys that are 3 up, a guy that we'll probably see pretty soon, CES, has been raking at AAA. He's 8 for 20 this week with 2 home runs and 5 RBIs. And I don't think I even updated for today. He probably had a couple more hits today.
He blasted a home run today. You should watch it.
So he had 3 home runs this week. And, yeah, he's hitting the ball hard. In that StatCast era that Mike talks about, he is hitting the ball. I mean, we have documented that going from AAA to the majors, not necessarily there's a gap, right? Like we'll see that with Benson and Hines. They don't necessarily light the world on fire right away when they come up, but CES has done it in the majors before, so you kind of can trust that. Hopefully he can do that whenever he gets the call. AA, our favorite AA player, Chase Burns, 6 innings, 2 hits, 0 runs, and a 1.54 ERA. And it was weird. AA didn't have many games this week. Ricky was talking about they had like an irrigation or a drainage issue. So they only played 2 games this week at Chattanooga for some reason. One of them was Chase Burns, so we'll take it. And Single A is our guy Leo Balcazar at Dayton. 10 for 18 with a home run and 2 RBIs for our Dayton Dragons. Shout out Dayton Dragons. I live close to Dayton, Mike, so it's basically my hometown team right there. And then shout out to Cam Collier, ACL Reds, who's hopefully going to be promoted. How does it work? I guess he's in a rehab assignment, so I guess maybe he'll get optioned to one of the other teams.
Man, you just piqued my interest. I'm going to have to look at their schedule now because I've got some time off this week for a couple of other reasons that both of you guys know about. So that we'll kind of keep under wraps right at the moment. But yeah, if I can get to the ACL Reds and Cam Collier is there, I can add to my collection behind me of cards. I think I've got 8 or 9 of his signatures. I tell you what, man, he's a great guy and a really good guy to have as far as fan interaction and stuff goes. He is a great, great kid. I can't wait to see him in a Reds uniform.
Yeah, heck of a ball player. He went 5 for 7, home run and double. Like you might got to get out there quick, Mike. He might get optioned soon since this is just a rehab for him since he had a thumb injury. So he'll probably be out of Arizona sooner than later. Any thoughts on that, Ricky or Mike, on these guys for having a good week out of our minors?
Ricky, go ahead and take it because I got something I'm going to throw in at the end to make all of you just faint here. So go ahead.
All right. I guess for you, Mike, the ACL Reds play on Monday, so you do have that. Or June 2nd they play. Is
it at home or is it somewhere else?
They're playing the Athletics at the Athletics.
Okay, so in Mesa. Okay.
That's at 9 p.m. Eastern. So that's what, 6 o'clock your time?
Yes, that's correct.
I guess I'm really excited about Cam Collier. Just his swing is beautiful. just he doesn't have that modern uppercut drive the ball out of the ballpark swing, but when he
Yes.
laces a ball to the opposite field gap, it is a work of art. I am a huge fan of Cam Collier.
Mhm.
And Sal Stewart. I don't want to get rid of either one of those two.
They
Those
better
two are the two I am the highest on out of everybody,
Yep.
except for Sheng-En Lin. When he comes up, he's gonna be a
He's
stud.
with ACL too, so
Yeah.
Yep.
And as far as Leo Balcazar, like just doing writing for Chatterbox on Fridays and Saturdays, doing their minor league recaps, I'm really diving in more on minor league baseball than I have before. And he has been consistently like 2 hits, 3 hits, 2 walks, a strikeout. Like it's just been, walking more, striking out less, getting on base. And what do you say about Chase Burns? I mean, I will say this. When they drafted him, I was disappointed. Only because this team has no hitting outfielders anywhere in the organization. You go
Absolutely.
anywhere. The only guy you could say is close to that is the guy we just traded for from the Dodgers in Antigua. And we didn't have him when we drafted Chase Burns. So I was really high on Charlie Condon. I wanted him, and I was even higher on Jack Caglione from Florida, the two-way player. He ended up, I think he's only playing first base for Kansas City at the moment, but he's already in AAA and could see the Royals fairly soon. He's been on a tear.
Mhm.
But after talking to Clay Snowden on our interview we had with him, I understand what he's saying. If you're not gonna sign free agent pitching in Great American Ballpark, it's just hard because guys are either going to want more money, or 2, just not sign because they're going to give up home runs. So you need to use draft capital on pitching, but you got to use free agent capital on hitting, and that is non-existent. But after watching Chase Burns highlights at Wake Forest and Tennessee, and then him this season, he's number 1 starter potential for this team. And that's saying a lot with Hunter Green and Nick Lodolo and Andrew Abbott and Brett Lauder coming through the pike too. So I'm really excited about the rotation going forward. And Christian Encarnacion Strand, he just needs to be healthy. His problem is his chase rate's really high. He likes to 3 pitches and an outcome. If he doesn't make contact with the first pitch, he's swinging at the second pitch. And if he doesn't make contact with the second pitch, he's swinging at the third pitch. And that's either a strikeout or he's putting the ball in play somewhere. If he can work that out and do what he's done at every other level in baseball, where he's had a 300 batting average every level, tons of home runs, massive power. Like he's William Opeña from back in the day, if you remember William Opeña. Just William Opeña could never put it all together.
I'm pointing to my Willie Mo autograph, by the way.
Oh, yeah, I love Willie Mo. But if CES could put it all together, he is your bona fide cleanup hitter. And he is that protection behind Ellie.
I say, they go, Mike. There's our big bopper that we're going to sign in the offseason. Right there.
Another excuse not to spend money.
That's how the Reds do business, Mike. But anyway, we're going to move on to guys that are 3 down. And, we don't necessarily do it to dog guys, but we definitely want to hopefully, I don't know, maybe we're trying to encourage them from afar because we got a couple guys here that have not been doing well at the AAA level somehow. And Blake Dunn went 0 for 8 this week at AAA, and same thing with Jacob Hurtubise, went 0 for 6. They're splitting time at AAA, which, again, speaks volumes in terms of, these guys were on the major league roster for long periods of time, and they can't get playing time in Louisville. We'll leave that there. Another guy that's been struggling, a top prospect, a left-hander, Dayton, Adam Siranowski, he only went 3 innings, gave up 3 runs, and it's his second straight bad outing. So the guy that we've been really profiling out of Dayton, Luke Hayden, was not the lauded prospect that Sirwanowski was. And hopefully Sirwanowski can kind of get it going. He's still pretty young. I think 20, 21 years old. Left-hander. We'd love to see a left-hander. We got a bunch of righties, obviously, in our system that have been performing well, but not many left-handers. So hopefully he can kind of turn it around. Still, the season's still young. It's just June 1st right now. But, yeah, those are the guys that have been struggling this week. Rick or Mike, you got anything?
Go ahead, Ricky.
Yeah, I'll go. Sirwanowski is the 12th overall prospect on the Reds' top 30, and he's projected to make the major leagues around 2027. He's a lefty. He's kind of like a Nick Lodolo type pitcher. You can see it in his picture. He kind of looks like Lodolo in that picture. Yeah. I had to do a double take when I posted the picture. But I guess the two biggest disappointments are the other two is Blake Dunn and Jacob Hurtubise. And I guess for context, I will pull up some stats. Blake Dunn batting 140 in AAA this year. He had 3 strikeouts on the game when they lost 13-4. And Hurtubise isn't doing much better. Hurtubise is batting. See when he played. He's batting 118 on the season in AAA. And for context, the guy that they could have brought up over those two was Rhys Hines. He's batting 261 on the season with far more power potential. Yeah, he's got a higher swing and miss chase rate, but he's got 8 home runs in AAA this year. Younger than the other two. Hines is still only 24, and we need a power hitting outfielder. We picked 2 slap hitters that, yeah, they're fast and yeah, they're good people. But I'm going to go on a rant. It's just I'm just disappointed with roster construction, just decision making. And is it Terry saying, "Hey, I want Blake Dunn, I want Jacob Hurtubise, not Rhys Hines," or is it Nick Krall saying, "Hey, we want to get these guys at bat so we can make decisions on them," which is a possibility because I think it's fairly likely that these two get non-tendered this offseason and they get removed from the 40-man, and that makes way for guys like Sal Stewart and eventually Cam Collier and eventually Sirwanowski. And then, yeah, I'm just disappointed. Like, these guys could have been 3-down candidates every week, Major League or AAA, in my opinion. It is just, thankfully, there's been other guys to talk about because these guys have been on the Major League roster for a good chunk of the season and they've done nothing but just be a waste of a spot. Yeah, for sure. It's not been good going for these guys, for sure. Hopefully, maybe they'll turn around and then they'll be back up in a couple weeks. There, Mike and Ricky. You'll never know. You never know with this Reds team. But Mike, you had talked about you had something to blow us away.
So I want to do a few things, right? I think this lineup, you guys are really talking about what I want to. You guys are setting me up really nice, and you have no idea what I'm getting ready to say, so I appreciate it. But we need to lengthen this lineup, right? Most good lineups have a really fast guy at the bottom so that when you turn the lineup over, you can do that. And then they have their leadoff guy and their number 2 guy who are usually relatively quick as well. You know, that's the Pete Crow Armstrong effect or something like that for a different team, right? Speaking of the, man, and I tell you what, just to give me 30 seconds on Pete Crow Armstrong, I didn't think this guy would ever be anything. I watched him in the Arizona Fall League for 2 years in a row. He looked like a toothpick out there. And all of a sudden now he's belting home runs. And I mean, he always had great defense and he always had speed. But I don't know. It's just I'm just going to throw this out here for a second. Why all of a sudden is he hitting tons of home runs? If you've ever seen him, he is a little tiny guy. So I don't know. Well, I'll just throw that out there and let you make your own judgments of what I was looking at there. Ricky, you mentioned earlier our prospects in the top 30. We don't have any outfielders in the high-end prospects with the exception of Rhys Hines, and you're 100% right. Number 11, number 18, number 19, and number 22. Not saying their names for the sake of time, but those are the only 4 outfield prospects we even have in the top 30 as far as the Cincinnati Reds go. So they need to make some trades for some high-end outfield prospects. I would love to see them do I would give almost the world to sign Chandler Simpson away from the Rays. I don't know if you saw him earlier in the month. They actually have optioned him back down to AAA now. I think we could do a few of our prospects and get that speedy outfield guy. You put him in the top of your order, put Frito at the bottom of your order, and all of a sudden you're lengthening your order. And then the other thing that I want to do right now, and this is probably where I'm going to get some pushback on at least one, if not both of you, I want to bring up CES, put him at first. I want to move Spencer Steer and put him at second base. And I think Matt McLain needs to go down to AAA for a little bit and get some seasoning and some confidence back.
Yeah,
I'll take it.
yeah, go ahead.
I'll bite on the question. I agree. I think I had been probably the only person saying that I expected Matt McLain to suck this season. Just you miss an entire season, and then you have a hot start to start the year. Was that him being ready, or was that just pitching not seeing Matt McLain for a season? And I think it's that. And I think McLain, confidence-wise, could really use the move. I think it's not easy when you were a top 7 prospect in an organization, a first-round pick, and he was the first cog in the machine in 2023 that came up. And we were kind of meddling before he came up. We weren't really expected to do anything in 2023. And he comes up and he's just super hot start. And then just when the team starts to slow down just a little bit, here comes Ellie De La Cruz. And then here comes Andrew Abbott. And then here comes Christian Encarnacion. It was like a wave of players, and just taking that pressure off of him needing to be really the only true star player that the team had. With 2023, or 2025, Spencer Steer is a really good second baseman. And I think that gets lost in a lot of it. That's his natural position as second base. He played second base in college, and he played second base in the Minnesota organization.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not a huge, what's what I'm looking for? It's not a huge, foreign territory for him.
No.
But I think the foreign territory for the Reds fan base would be optioning McLain down. But I think it's time, honestly. I think with his performance, he's batting like $115 on the season.
Yeah.
And all of his home runs were the first couple weeks, except maybe, I think, 2. I think he's had 2 home runs since his return off the IL. Long term, McLain is going to be one of the best players on this team. And he's got potential to be one of the best second basemen in baseball. It's just confidence-wise, he's not ready. And if CES can come up, perform, and Steer he's been kind of hot here at least lately, playing an actual defensive position other than first base where he's required to throw a baseball. I think he's ready for that too. I would prefer him at second over the outfield. I think he's a better infielder than an outfielder.
Yes.
But I'm going to say something even more wild, and I talked about it on Twitter today, is we need Jeimer Candelario to perform. And it got announced today he's going to start a rehab assignment in ACL, so you can see Jeimer Candelario as well.
Oh, good. I can take all my ball cards with me.
And I think that starts on Monday or Tuesday, I believe. And when that happens, that's going to be we need to see. I'm going to be keeping my eye on him just because, it's easy to hate on a guy when he's down. But regardless of salary for him, take away salary. Pretend that we're the Dodgers and we don't need to worry about money. If Jeimer Candelario can play to the back of his baseball card and hit 260, 250, 260, 270 at best, and then in our ballpark hit 25 home runs, because he hit 15, I think it was 15 last year, and he missed a significant amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
If he can, I think he hit 8 in June before he got hurt. So if he could hit 20, 25 home runs, DH, don't put him at third, That's going to be an important piece of this team, in my opinion. Him, and then I do agree with you though. I think Steer could be that, and even if you even had an even crazier thing, you could put Steer at third and put Espinal at second. Like you could flip them two around because Espinal's a pretty good second baseman too. But I like Espinal at third right now until Marte comes back.
Yeah.
It's just test it out, see where it goes, and then. Get McLean's confidence back. It seemed to work for Will Benson. It seems to be working for CES at the moment. Get their confidence because baseball, confidence is one of the most significant factors to the entire sport. If you're not confident, you're not going to perform. So, yeah, I agree with you. I like the take.
Yeah, I don't want Steer at third just because of him and his shoulder problems. I don't want him throwing clear across the diamond, kind of like we don't want him throwing from the outfield to the infield. So that's the reason why I wanted Steer at second. And then I honestly think it looks like from everything that I was reading, Marte is probably about a week or so away from coming back. And he'll take over again at third when he comes back. So,
yeah, that sounds good. And yeah, if we can, if you guys are ready, let's preview the week. We got the hated Brewers coming to Great American Ballpark this week. And then I believe they go on the road again, or am I? No, you got the Diamondbacks coming.
It's here, yeah.
Wow,
it's in Cincinnati.
Yeah, so a 6-game homestand at least. Mike's Diamondbacks coming to town. Oh yeah, I forgot. It's Tyler Stevenson bobblehead weekend.
Yes,
and for everyone that celebrates, so you can get your. And so
no. Hey, Ricky, put me back on the whole screen for a second. Put the three of you back on the whole screen for a second. I know I'm bossing you around on your own podcast. I know. So look, I'll trade you this bobblehead for a Spencer Steer one when you guys go to the game. All right, there we go. Because I have a couple extra ones from the game that I went to yesterday. I'm sure you guys saw me on Twitter posting stuff up. So we'll do some trading, gentlemen.
Yeah, when is that Spencer Steer one? I have to look that up.
I believe it's Saturday, maybe Friday or Saturday.
Oh, I thought it was Stevenson was this week.
Oh, what did I say to you?
Steer.
Oh no, I'm sorry. I said the wrong name. That's my fault. Yeah, I like Tyler Stevenson really well. So
okay, that's fair. But all right, Mike. Then how do you see this week going for the Redlegs against Brewers and then against your D-backs?
All right, so let's take the Brewers first. How do you guys want to do it? You want to look at Brewers first, and then all three of us look at Brewers, and all three of us look at D-backs. You want to look at the whole week as from each one of us?
We can do it, just the first one.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's do Brewers first then. Roger said it in the beginning. The Brewers seem to have just enough to win, right? I mean, I look at that Brewers roster and I'm like, how in the world is this team winning anything? Is it? And I tend to think it's their management. We all thought that Francona was going to come in here and set the world on fire, and he was going to make this Reds team a great team all of a sudden. And I look at that roster and I'm like, how in the world does this team continue to win? And though when I watch them on television, man, they're always feisty, and their manager and their hitting coach, and they're always up on the fence, and they're always yelling at stuff, and you can see them pulling some of their kids over in the dugout and talking to them, stuff that I never see any of our managers do or anything. But I shouldn't say ours. I mean, I do have both teams. I got Diamondbacks and the Reds, but you know what I'm saying here.
For the sake of this show, it's ours.
Yeah, there you go. For the sake of the show, it's ours. I got you. So hopefully they can win 2 out of 3. That's what I think will happen. But my only reservation here, we talked about this earlier, if Elly De La Cruz isn't there, and they do what we want, well, at least what I want them to do, and option Matt McLain too. Can they win without Elly, and can they really win if they option Matt and don't have Elly? So that's a factor that we don't really know the answer to yet. So we'll kind of leave that as undecided.
Hey, Rick.
Yeah, I'm kind of looking at some player stats for Milwaukee, and they've just kind of all gotten hot at the same time. Bryce Terang is batting .318 with an on-base percentage of .464, and he's slugging .409 in his last 7 games. And he's got 5 strikeouts, 6 walks. He's been kind of a table setter for them. And then Jackson Chourio on the season isn't blowing anybody away. He's batting .258, 9 home runs, 11 stolen bases. But in his last 7, he's batting .313, 2 stolen bases, an on-base percentage of .353, slugging .594. He's got 2 home runs, 10 hits, 9 runs. So it just seems like everyone's just kind of getting hot at the same time for them. And even like Christian Yelich, like he started out slow. He's batting .448 in his last 7.
Yeah. And
has
they won their
anybody in
last
the
7.
Reds even come close to that other than Friedel in the last 7 games?
Nope.
So he's .448, 3 home runs, 9 RBIs, 2 stolen bases. I mean, he's just been red hot. And it just seems like they're all on fire at the same time. And I guess their pitching is just doing enough to keep the other team at bay because they're scoring a lot of runs. So it just, hopefully we can catch them on a time where they've used all their juice and they're cooling down and we can kind of get hot. We are playing in Milwaukee, right? Are we playing in
No,
Milwaukee?
they're playing here.
All right.
They're the whole week is here, or not here because I'm in Arizona, but the whole week is in Cincinnati where you guys are.
Yeah.
So maybe we get that energy for us too. I don't know. I fear we just go on a cold streak and just have another run where we don't score any runs, and then we get 1-0 losses because we ran into them in Milwaukee early in the season. We had 2 consecutive 1-0 losses with them, but then we broke out the next game for like 11 runs. So that's my hope is we can just catch them on the downturn.
Yeah. The bright spot, as it usually is every single week and every single situation that the Reds have been in, is that the pitching lineups have been good. I mean, we got Singer going game 1, Hunter Green's game 2, and then Andrew Abbott's got the 12:40 game on Wednesday. So with those 3 guys going, you got lots of confidence, and you kind of want to basically give those guys enough runs to get the job done. You're at home, like you said, Ricky. Hopefully you'll get some home cooking. Maybe there'll be some transactions on Monday coming, possibly, if anything. Maybe 1 or 2 guys get optioned or not. I don't know. But you definitely got yourself a chance. The pitching staff, as I said before, it's almost criminal that they've been so good, but they just haven't gotten enough offense to get them over the hump, get them the wins that they should be getting. So, but all right, and now on to the D-backs. Mike's lauded D-backs that gave up 10 runs in the first inning last time. How do you see it? How do you see that? How do you see
I'm
that?
never going to another Diamondbacks game again. It was the first game I was there, and then I was bragging the whole way there with the people that I was with, and I'm like, hey, we're gonna come out here and smoke these Nationals. And they all kept staring at me in the first inning, like, what were you saying again? And then shut up.
Yeah, baseball can be cruel like that. Smack you right in the face in the first inning.
And that was Brandon Pfaadt, who has tied for the most wins in all of the National League. And I mean, he just got shelled, and he didn't even get an out. They took him out of the game. He gave up, I believe, in total they gave up 10 runs, but I think he only gave up 7 of them.
Okay.
Listen at me, only 7.
Only 7.
Yeah, only 7. And people were asking me as I was driving home. I had a lot of different interaction on social medias and stuff, and some of my work friends and stuff were texting me because I went with work friends to the game, and they're like, well, how'd the game go? And I'd start everything off by my first sentence I'd send was, well, the Diamondbacks scored 7 runs, and they'd be like, oh, well, good, that's really, and they lost by 4. That was the second sentence, so. Yep. Oh man, and then you guys, because we have the Reds and the Diamondbacks playing at the back half. I don't know if you saw today, but you're probably going to miss Corbin Burnes as well. I'll give you some breaking news here on the Red Hot Reds podcast. I was texting back and forth with, we'll call her a friend of mine slightly, Miss Jody Jackson, who was with the Arizona Diamondbacks. She said Burnes says there was no pop and no pinch, just an increase in tightness in his shoulder. So his hope is that his body just shut itself down before anything serious happened. There'll be an MRI tomorrow. So that'll be on our big acquisition over the free agency period of Corbin Burnes. So if you guys miss Corbin Burnes at the tail end, and you'll get Brandon Pfaadt, and then to be named later, probably Ryan Nelson, I would say, will take his spot in the rotation. Ryan Nelson's done pretty well, but you'll get the guy who gave up 7 runs yesterday, and then somebody else that's not usually in their rotation now. Rodriguez is also set to come back, so you might get Rodriguez as well, E-Rod as they like to call him. They used to pitch for Boston, so we've got that there. As far as the offense goes, this team and the Cincinnati Reds are really, really similar. They'll either score 8, 9 runs in a game, or they won't score hardly any. So we'll see what happens here. And I think for the Reds, this is a big week for them. If they can win 5 of these 6 games, no matter how they do it against which team, then you're right back in the hunt again. I don't know if you've looked at the Chicago Cubs schedule or not, but it is brutal over the next 3 series. I can't remember exactly how this goes, but I know they play Detroit. I know they play Philadelphia, and it's in Philadelphia. So they've got some teams too to where they can get beat, and if the Reds can win, then here we are. We're all tied up, and it's right there, real tight race at the top of the division again.
Yeah, for sure. Ricky?
I don't want to toot my own horn or nothing here, but we got some breaking news from Jeff Passan on Twitter.
More breaking news.
Yeah, yeah. We have some breaking news. The Royals are bringing up slugger Jack Caglianone to the Major League roster.
Okay.
He's a jerk. I mean, he's a talented Major League player, but for someone who's met him in the Arizona Fall League, well, I shouldn't say met him. For someone who was like, get away from me in the Arizona Fall League, like, don't touch me, don't. Yeah, he won't sign. He won't do much of anything. He's one of those guys. And I ticked him off because I was like, well, shouldn't you make it to the majors first before you dictate who you're going to sign for? And he literally turned around to me with a bat in his hand. And if you haven't seen this guy yet, this guy is huge.
He's huge.
He looks like a barn. Back in Ohio, he looks like one of those big, what do they call them? The red barns or whatever in Ohio, right? Where you catch all them all the time. That's what this boy looks like. He is put together. He looks like Adam Dunn. Reminds me of Adam Dunn a lot. Same body type, just a big old corn-fed, put that bat down before you turn at me kind of guy, right? And he had the bat in his hand, and he turned to me, and I thought he was going to come over the fence at me, and I almost got scared. But anyway, that's my that's my story.
Interesting scouting report you got for Caglianone.
right. Oh, he's a heck of a hitter, though. He gets a hold of one, it's gone.
Dang. All right. Well,
yeah, that was my breaking news. I guess more on the Diamondbacks. I fear Suarez because he's probably going to hit 3 home runs this series. It's just it seems inevitable, despite getting traded away, coming off of a bad season, an unhealthy season. I think people forget that when he hit 130, he was not healthy. He injured his shoulder in spring training. Brendan Pfaadt, him. He's kind of a local guy. He's from Louisville, so that could be kind of a mini homecoming for him. Just kind of coming back. He's probably going to have some family in attendance, so that'd be kind of good for him. He's a good pitcher. His ERA is over 5, but I think that a lot of that's from yesterday. But yeah, it's I guess that's positive news for Arizona on Corbin Burnes not having, hopefully, not a significant elbow injury. Maybe it's just a couple games he has to miss and not a season. But yeah, I mean, there are some guys on Arizona that I worry about. Corbin Carroll, obviously, he's rookie of the year stud. Gurriel Jr., Ketel Marte, Josh Naylor. I mean, Josh Naylor is like a Reds killer. He mashed against the Reds in Cleveland last year. He was one of the reasons why they basically they got a 2-game sweep of the series in Cincinnati last year, right? Because he hit like 2 home runs in one game. I was really hoping we would make a trade for him. But yeah, I mean, like Arizona's got some guys, but they're kind of in the similar situation that the Reds are, where they're just not hitting potential right now. And Corbin Carroll, I haven't checked his numbers here lately. He's batting 115 in his last 7 games.
Yeah.
For the season, he's batting 254. So it just seems like he's just kind of hit that bump in the road where you're going to struggle for about a month and then figure it out. His last 30, he's batting 207. So that's not, world beater, but it's also better than what he is here lately. But he's also a guy that could get hot quick and could do some major damage for Arizona. And obviously we touched on it with Suarez. Like, he's probably going to hit 3 home runs. He might hit 2 in the same game. I wouldn't be surprised if he hits a grand slam, just because it's be like, hey, look what I did for you, and you just cut me to the wayside for what? I mean, it seems like everybody from that trade just non-existent. Who was that trade? It was Brandon Williamson.
You got Marte in that trade, right?
No, Marte was Castillo.
Yeah, see,
It was Winker.
Hang on, you keep talking about something else. I'll look it up while you talk about something else.
Hopefully missing Corbin Burns for us is a big deal. But there's a lot of guys on that team that I worry about. With Corbin Carroll struggling, he still has 16 home runs, and Suarez has 16 home runs.
One today, one huge home run today. You get a chance to watch that one. Watch that one too.
And the Reds team leader is what, Ellie, and he's got 9.
Ellie's got 12. 12 now.
12. Okay, but who's in second? It's
probably Hayes, and he's on the DL.
Right. McLean's probably up there too, and he's been struggling for a month and a half. Yeah. It's just a team like Arizona hitting the ball out of the ballpark is kind of like their forte, and it seems to be like batting average is where they're kind of struggling. And for the Reds, it's kind of both, just no power and no batting average. It's just hopefully. I think when that series comes around, it should be probably the same as this past Chicago series. It'd probably be, Abbott's the number 5, so it would be probably Lodolo, Martinez, or Abbott, Martinez, roughly in those 3. Mm-hmm. So,
well, Abbott's going to get the ball on the day game, right?
On Wednesday, yeah.
Okay, so it'll be, I think,
it'll be Lodolo, Martinez,
Green, I think.
Yeah, and then Green should be Sunday. Yeah. And so to update you here, you were 100% right. I'll move this computer over here so I can talk to you, and it's going to block the light a little bit because my wife said, see that, and then see that, and see that, right? My wife was like, you don't have enough light on your face, and I was like, I don't think people really want to see me, but okay. So they traded. You were right. They traded Eugenio Suarez, Jesse Winker to the Mariners, and yeah, most of these people have disappeared. You're 100% right. You ready? Jake Dunn, Jake Fraley, Brandon Williamson, and Connor Phillips. That's who they ended up getting.
Phillips still in the system.
Phillips.
So do you want the Reds home run leaders?
Jake Fraley, Roger, but I like Jake.
Yeah.
You ready for a laugh?
Go ahead.
Second place, Reds home run leader, Austin Hayes was 6. Second place, tied, Matt McLean was 6. Fourth place, Will Benson.
What, 3?
He's got 5. Jake Fraley has 4, and Jake Fraley hadn't hit a home run in a year and a half, and he's got 4.
Yeah.
And he is in the top 5. Friedel has 4, Steer has 4, Stevenson has 4. And a guy who hasn't played in almost a month, Noelvi Marte's got 3. Jose Trevino's got 3. Austin Wynns has 3. And then the rounding out
Austin
that list,
Wynns has 3.
tied for 12th, Jeimer Candelario, Christian Encarnacion Strand with 2.
I think somebody said they needed a really big bopper guy and a guy to mash in the middle of their lineup. That guy was really smart.
They can't do it at Great American Ballpark. They do it at Kauffman Stadium, one of the biggest ballparks, and they do it at the Cubs. They can't do it at their home stadium. That's the one thing that the Reds are good for. They're just, I don't know, Great American Small Park, I guess, becomes a lot bigger because of all the fans there. Or I don't know. It's funny, but yeah. Do you guys got anything else around look forward to this week? Ricky, got any appearances on Chatterbox pregame show or anything like that?
I got Monday and Tuesday pregame show. I'm filling in for I think Max, and then Tuesday I'm filling in for Alex, and then
You're working every day.
Friday pregame show. I think I might be doing postgame shows on Friday and Saturday too to give Corey a break. But yeah, I'm gonna be a busy week this week.
And Mike, you got your show on Tuesday.
Mhm.
The Sports Truth again. Anything else going on for you this week?
Well, I mean, I don't know if you guys have seen it or not, but we're trying to do a little bit more content on our YouTube channel. The 643 and Out Pod is where you can find us at on YouTube as well. So I'm doing some like 5-minute and under videos, and then we're also cutting up the Tuesday, and I'll do a couple teases for our Tuesday night show, 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, 9 p.m. for those of you fine gentlemen over on the East Coast. I'm going to be doing. I believe the Pittsburgh Pirates should trade Paul Skeens, and I'll tell you who they trade him to and what they get in return. And then the second thing I'm going to talk about that I know is going to be on the Sports Truth again. It's 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time and 9 p.m. on the East Coast for you guys. We'll be talking about the matchup that just happened, the Dodgers and the hang on, I lost it there.
Yankees.
Yeah, Dodgers and the Yankees. And was it a travesty that the first game was on Apple TV, the second game was on ESPN, and now the third game tonight is on ESPN again? So can the common fan watch the showdown that they want to see? And is there a problem with that in Major League Baseball?
Yeah. I say Jake Fraley for Paul Skeens straight up. No take backs.
They're gonna have Garrett Hampson straight up too.
There you go.
Yeah, he'll
no
be
return. No return. Just give them Garrett Hampson.
Yeah, they can take Hunter Joe back too, right?
Yeah, sure. Why not? All right. We really appreciate you coming on, Mike, and being our co-host / guest / table setter / commentator, all that good stuff. Really appreciate that. And yeah, we'll sign off here. Rick, you got anything else before we sign off?
Just go Reds.
Go Reds.
We're the Reds.